hated so to let him go, his mama's pride and joy. But he heard the cattle calling and he rode to Mexico, back to the only life he knew and the only love he'd known. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. The night is long and the sun's sinking low. Yippee-yi, cowboy, yippee-yi-yo. Down beyond the border, there's a girl with raven hair. He felt the love around her and lost himself there. And on a day in May, he gave his heart and a golden ring. Now when the prairie calls him, she just waits for him and sings. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. The night is long and the sun's sinking low. Yippee-yi, cowboy, yippee-yi-yo. He kissed her on the front porch, holding Daddy's little boy. He hated so when he had to go and leave his pride and joy. But now she's got a little man and he's got his daddy's eyes. And each night she sings him fast asleep with the cowboy's lullaby. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-di-do. Ride, cowboy, yippee-yi-ki-dee-dee-di-do. The night is long and the sun's sinking low. Yippee-yi, cowboy, yippee-yi-yo.
There's just something incredibly relaxing about that band. And of course, for those who've been tuning in for the week, our featured band this week is a little band from my hometown, Aunt Beanie's First Prize Beats. And that was the Cowboy's Lullaby. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Because I'm enjoying it alone. Yes, that's right. Cadunt may have been claimed by Nappy Land. I haven't spoken with her in a few hours. I am hoping that she at least is having very good dreams. Champagne dreams and caviar wishes. So last night was the end of the boss battle for the Knoxville prize package. And of course, our winner last night was Tourish. And I've gone ahead and decided, instead of resetting the stream boss and putting it back up, I kind of like where it's at right now. So it's kind of low. It's kind of possible to... you don't have to spend a McDonald's paycheck to take over the stream boss. So I'm happy with that. And of course, since I'm familiar with the three major belts that are being held up around Gulf City, around the Blunt Stream, there's a couple other places that have belts. So I thought I'd make our belt a little bit more unique. So just above the stream, boss, you are seeing the belt for the intergender champion. That's right. I want to make sure either male or female, everybody got a chance at that belt. So if the sexes want a battle, they certainly can. There are no battle lines drawn. And how attractive of a belt is that? Actually, I was trying to find the one that Andy Kaufman had made. Because, as you know, comedian and now dead guy, Andy Kaufman, was the originator of the Intergender Championship. And he actually even had a belt made for the intergender gimmick that he was running. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll go ahead and no context tweet that. Let's see here. There we go. Intergender Championship belt. Do do do. Yeah. Yeah, that's the original. There we go. So I'll tweet that up. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't have a lot of gas in the tank this evening. So I don't know how long we're going to roll. But we'll at least take it around the block for a spin. I did notice that apparently Copper Cab is trying to step up to Gavin McInnes and Tara LaRosa, and I think there was one more. But Gavin actually said yes to duking it out with Copper Cab. And I wish him luck. I'll watch the highlight reel if the fight ever happens. But besides that, zero shits given. I know that Gavin and Copper Cab have worked together before. Copper Cab was on Gavin's show like 3 or 4 times before it got bounced off of, I forget where he was before. That Canadian media thing that all ended up in a big clusterfuck because they let go Lawrence Southern, and I think Gavin came next, and Faith Goldie, I think, also got the bounce from there. I'll tell you what, though, there must be, I'm betting you there's something more entertaining on right now. Not to say, go do it, but it does look like, AP's on, Adonis Paul's on, Rakita Law's on, and those are interesting fellows, which I do recommend. I watch both of them when I can. Unfortunately, Rakita Law usually conflicts with IRS, so I can get the first part in, but rarely ever do I see a full show from it because we're doing this business over here. Good morning, Gulf City Outlaw. Yeah, it's feels like it's a little subdued. It's almost 1:30 on a Saturday morning, which means a late Friday night. The bars have not closed. The last call has not been thrown. Unless you live in, if I remember correctly, when I lived in Missouri, their bars closed at midnight. We were, I was living in Manchester, which is just right outside of St. Louis. Good morning, Lord Byron. And for people who don't know, if you take a look at it on a map, sorry, brain fart. Oh, crap. That's what happens when you roll your own and you're not watching. The cherry will drop into your lap. That's not a good thing, by the way. Just thought I'd share. St. Louis is right there on the border of Missouri and Illinois. And of course, Illinois bars are open to the wee hours of the morning. At least that's what we do. We go and we drink in St. Louis until the bars closed, which was midnight. And then we'd shuffle across the state line and go do some drinking over in Illinois. And the bars are open. God, if I can remember, I think they're open until 4 in the morning. And we appreciate Illinois for keeping their bars open. Because, good God, you know, no wonder why people don't like Missouri, because you can't, drink. Let's see here. And good morning to Tyro. And apparently he's been productive today. That's a good thing. Oh, okay. Well, I can do that. There's a promo getting ready to come down. Although I did find it cute that that Cadet cut a promo on a Joker. That was pretty damned adorable, I must say. Bear with me here. I'm flipping through. I'm trying to find. There you are. I'll throw one over to the Outlaw too. If an y'all to. Okay, there we go. But yeah, one of the things that we learned right off the bat, yeah, because I used to run around the U.S. setting up telemarketing offices for the Kirby Vacuum Cleaner Company, and the very first thing that we learned was where the bars are and what time do they close. I think the bad thing about Missouri was the fact that the bars closed at the same time that their liquor stores closed. So, if you drank until the lights came up, then you were screwed. You had to leave early enough to get to a mini mart or a liquor store and get your shit bought so you can continue the party. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of having a curfew when it comes to my alcoholism. I'm just not about it. I'm not into it. I can't feel it. So, yeah. I think Atlanta was like 4 in the morning. I know Charlotte was like 2. Albany, New York, I thought was 3. I think 3 o'clock. Down in Florida, it was 2. I'm trying to think of any of the other places that I ever went. And nothing's really coming to mind at this point. But yeah. And good morning, Citrus Quest. Good morning, gaming and yelling. Yeah, it's yeah, I think people should hook into and know everything about their hobbies. And alcoholism, you know, there's not a lot of nuance to it, but you certainly should know when your liquor stores close and when your adult beverage serving places close. we were having a dinner in one of the local restaurants, and we all had liquor on the table, and they came around at midnight and collected it all up. They refilled our water glasses, but there's just something that was missing. Good morning, Henry G. I would say, Ichabod, if you would like to come on, you are certainly welcome. But we have kind of a gimmick running at this point, and I don't want it to sound dickish, but I guess, you know, there's not a lot of people listening, so I can clue some people in on what's going on. Essentially, we've done. By the way, gaming yelling. Thank you and fuck you for the Chavo, you bastard. This is our 98th show. We've done 98 of these things, and we have had 99 different guests on. So we were talking about, Cadet and I were talking about, let's have a special 100th guest. And I threw out a couple of invites tonight. Unfortunately, they politely declined, which is cool because the door's still always open. They're people that I like and people that I've had good conversations with. So, yeah, the door's open. There's no real big rush to hit number 100. So I'm okay with all of that. And let's see here. Oh, I wanted to look at this here real quick. Is it in here? Let's see. No. It's not. So I got to add that to the scroll. It was on the add files. And now it's added. Okay, we're good. And good morning, Mad Middleman. Yeah, this is I'm not afraid to say it, but the stream tonight without Kadant is 50% less cooler. Although with gaming and yelling jumping into the stream, we can add another 10% back to that.
It's gonna be at least 100%. It's gonna be at least 100%.
Oh, come on now. We're talking about Kadant.
Well, okay, yeah.
Well,
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Kadant is a different story.
She is. She's the heart of the show. She's the spunk.
Can I be the anus of the show?
Like spunking on the anus? I don't know if that's appropriate. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this isn't a kid's show. Why not?
Yay!
And Citrus Quest says, at least it's 90% more gay with gaming and yelling.
I'm offended by that comment. At least? That should be at least 200% higher in gayness.
I haven't had that much gayness in my life, so I could probably agree with that statistic. Lord Byron, I did send you a link. So if you're fired up, if you're ready to hit the ring, we can cue the music. Although I don't know what kind of entrance music that he would come in on. That's a thought.
Hello.
Wait a minute.
Hello.
You don't get any extra gay gaming. You're riding solo.
Wait, how am I riding solo?
I don't know.
How am I riding solo?
I am slightly confused.
Me too. I usually have somebody else to be. Me too. I usually have somebody else to be gay with.
Well, we had Addie on last night, but that was kind of a different level of gay, a different tangent, so to speak. The Angels would be my entrance music. No, nobody.
Maybe Fallen Angels.
Nobody wants to come out to Land Down Under. Well, I don't know. Maybe the Bushwhackers.
Oh.
If they updated the gimmick, I remember I met one of the guys who was part of the new Bushwhackers about 8 years ago, and he was just like, "Oh, I hate that shit." It was the dumbest gimmick in the world, and it's like, yeah, but dude, it got you over. He's like, well, yeah, for a little bit, but look, look where I'm at now, and I'm like, I'm not arguing, because he was on the indie show that I was helping to run. So yeah, I felt a little sympathy.
But still, I mean, they will be known as like one of those top wrestlers. I mean, the gimmick wasn't the best, but who doesn't fucking remember the Bushwhackers?
Well, I met
love
one
them.
of the original Bushwhackers, and it was at a bar, and Jesus, man, those boys could drink. I shit you not, they could drink. Well, most all the wrestlers that I ever met could drink. The first time I met Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was sitting at a table by himself in the hotel lounge, and I walked up, and he not to kill the kayfabe here, but he didn't drink Steve Weisers. He had legitimately 8 empty Coronas lined up along his table. And I was like, so is Corona what you're drinking? And he's like, it looks like it. And I'm like, well, I'll get you another one if you want it. And I think this was before anybody noticed that he was there, or you know how fandom goes. If you see somebody in real life that you're a fan of, you don't just like jump all over them and start gushing. By the way, good morning, Catman Dinger the Third. And yeah, there are 2 dislikes, which I'm not disputing, because we don't have a cadunt so far this evening. So those downvotes are well earned. I walked over to him, got him a beer, and we were sitting back tipping. I couldn't, seat myself at his table. So I was just like, standing up and talking to him while we were drinking together. And I was actually the match that he was in. He did a match before the break, before the intermission, and he wrestled Mankind. He wrestled Mick Foley, and I had a Mick Foley Cactus Jack shirt on when I came up to him, and he just kind of looked at the shirt and laughed, because it was one of the original ECW ones, and he could tell what it was. I think he was thinking I was going to ask some fanboy questions, and I did, but the first one I asked him was, how much of a bitch was it that they broke you and Pillman up doing Hollywood Blondes? And his eyes just lit up. And he just started talking about how much fun it was working with Brian Pillman, and how WCW completely fucked them over. Because once the gimmick was getting over, once they won the tag belts, at the time it was a mix of Ole Anderson and Kevin Sullivan. And they didn't like either one of the guys. So, yeah, they just grabbed the shovels and started burying them. But, yeah, I talked to him for about 15, 20 minutes until other fans realized that he was there in the bar. And I showed him, I was like, you want to see something funny? And he's like, what's that? Or wait a minute, what's that? And I pulled out of my pocket. I'm like, can you believe that they're selling these? I handed it to him. It was legit. Oh, we saw you there for a second, Lord Byron. Keep going at it, brother. You'll get it. I handed it to him. It was a fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin air freshener. And he laughed his ass off. He's like, hey, you got a pen? And I'm like, yeah. I didn't even think of asking him to sign it. And he was laughing the whole goddamn time he was signing it. And he's like, oh, I better make sure I'm getting my payout on that. So, yeah, I mean, I've met quite a few wrestlers. And, huh? There's that. We're not even like a half hour into the show, and there's already dildo talk in the chat. What the hell?
It's
okay.
Catman Dingo. What do you expect?
Let's see. Yeah, that's the only link that I've got, brother.
I've met quite a few wrestlers too, and we're talking like amazing wrestlers that history will probably never forget. But I'm talking about El Santo, Blue Demon, Sin Caras, and all those wrestlers from Mexico.
In that batch, did you also meet Mil Mascaras? Yeah.
Mil Máscaras?
The one I liked, and the one I stole because I used to do commentary with one of the local feds, and anytime we'd go on camera, I was always masked because we were shooting it and then we were doing the voiceovers. So the last thing that they wanted to see was the guy who was actually doing the camera work as the guy who was calling the match. So I went masked, and I used, I hope I pronounced this right, Teneblas? Or Teneblas?
That doesn't ring a bell.
I'll put a picture up of him. Yeah.
Tinieblas. Okay, yeah, I know Tinieblas.
Yeah,
It's a fucking amazing wrestler.
He was badass just because of the fact that, do you remember the little midget that was dressed just like him and used to run around with him? I can't think of the guy's name. Also, they also did a lucha movie, and I remember El Santo was in it. God, who else was in it?
Wait, there's a luchador
there's
movie?
a ton of them.
There's thousands. There's thousands of. El Santo,
you're talking about the Blue Demon and all them ones, yeah.
I mean, El Santo alone, I think he did over 60 movies.
Well, he's like the Mexican James Bond, isn't he?
Well, he was the Mexican Hulk Hogan, I guess. I mean, he was one of the greatest wrestlers in our
Uh,
history. Like, there's no other wrestler higher than
here's the
El
poor
Santo or
bastard that was
known.
Teneblas's mascot. I could not imagine running around in that fucking monkey suit. There is no other word for it. It's a monkey suit. But I mean, he got over. God, okay. And now I want to remember what that movie was, because actually it was pretty damn entertaining.
Oh God, it's gonna be
I'll
extremely.
know it.
I
I'll
can
know
try
it
and
when I
Google
see
it,
it.
but
I even had a link that I was sharing out.
are you talking about
Some
Tinieblas
of
with
them
El
were
Santo?
in it, but there were, I think, three more. I think there were three more actual wrestlers in it. It was like the Champions of Justice, I think. Let me just look it up under Champions of Justice. But yeah, that was entertaining.
I put you the proper spelling just in case if you need it for Tinieblas and El Santo, so you could find and just quickly do an image view and you'll see all the movies. But I mean,
Okay, well,
El
listen as
Santo
I
has done so
slaughter the
many
title of
movies that
this
it's not
one.
even funny.
Los Campeones Justicieros. Yeah,
Los Campeones.
that's the Champions
Justicer.
of Justice. It had
Okay,
Blue
yeah,
Demon,
yeah. You said it properly.
Mil Máscaras, El Médico, Tiniblas, and Black Shadow. No, I guess Santo wasn't in it. No, Santo has to be in it because it looks like they're showing his damn face. But yeah, that was back in like 1971, and it was a good movie. It was cheese, and you could tell the guys who didn't want to be there. But I think a lot of people don't know that there is a very, very serious rivalry when it comes to the luchadors, especially you're talking about back in the 60s and 70s. People around here, around the United States, they were hip to it in the 50s with like Gorgeous George and all of those people coming through, but it kind of died out, and then you really didn't see anything of wrestling again until you got to the early 80s with the Rock and Wrestling Connection, with Hulk Hogan and Cyndi Lauper and all that. Well, during that time, the luchador, the Mexican wrestlers, all of that was still going strong. I mean, would you say that it's ingrained in the culture?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and these. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and these wrestlers who had like their rivalries were lifelong. They would make sure that they were real. And the entire fucking country would know about these wrestlers, and they would just go just to see the rivalries. And that was back before things were televised and stuff like that. I mean, this was like real word of mouth and stuff like that, and the matches were like amazing because after wrestling so many times, you learn each other's moves and techniques, and you could do the whole wrestling dance that they do and stuff. So they perfect their battles, so it was pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
I got the
Those
chance to
back in the
watch
day wrestling matches.
Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair do 1 hour Broadways. And it was amazing because by the time, they got around our market, they had probably already wrestled like 100 times. And yeah, I mean, smoother than the best bourbon that you would ever drink. I mean, nowadays, if you watch the shit on TV, they're blowing spots every fucking match. It's just unavoidable. But you get these guys who are down there. Now, of course, there is a thing to be said about when you're too old, you should not be in the ring. El Santo was one of those guys. Blue Demon was. And definitely Mils Mascaras. But then again, I've heard a shit ton of stories about how much of a dick he was. But yeah, I mean, these guys still into their 60s and 70s were still doing matches, and there was a ton of street cred when the juniors started coming along. I mean, the guy who was under the mask for Blue Demon Jr., I mean, he was a struggling mid-carder. And once they gave him that mantle, boom, instant superstar.
But usually they try to give the titles. But usually they try to give the titles to family only,
exists. And
right. Plus, I mean, you have to think it's like this person who created this character, bless you. And you take years and years of creating this character and the legacy. So you do want to pass it on to your children or your relatives and not to some other person,
most people who followed American wrestling got a little taste of that with Rey Mysterio Sr. and Rey Mysterio Jr. And there was a big thing about how Sr. decided that Rey had proved himself and he could take the Jr. off and just be known as Rey Mysterio. I never heard of that part. Yeah. But then there was the huge uproar when WCW said he needed to be unmasked.
Yeah, for no reason either.
Yeah. Just because
for no reason
they
either.
wanted to swing their dicks around. And they lost a shit ton of money off it, too. Now, I've got pictures. Yeah.
They did the same with Hooven too, didn't they? They made him take his mask off and come out, and then everyone was like,
they unmasked the Hoovy juice.
Yeah.
That.
Your favorite porn star.
I tell you,
your favorite porn star.
He was an interesting chap. I met him too. It was so funny. We were at one of the bars, and it was they were playing pool. You can pretty much tell who the guys are by how they walk. Now, if you're down in Mexico and you encounter luchadors outside of the arena, they used to be as hardcore as nobody knew what Santo looked like ever. Blue Demon was the same way.
Right.
Where no, you don't see their face. Never, ever. But they used to always go out because, without the mask, nobody knows who they are, so they don't get recognition. So there's Santo driving around in his silver Rolls. But later on, like when I met a lot of the luchadors in the 90s, everybody was unmasked, but you could tell by the bulk, or some of them had tats that were dead giveaways. We tried to play pool with the fucking Villanos. And you know how many Villanos there are, right?
Villanos. Okay. I don't remember how many they actually were.
There's all of them.
I don't remember how many they actually were.
Legit, that night in the bar, there were 4 of them. and they had apparently lucha libre rules playing fucking pool. Like one of them would make a shot and then they'd hand the stick off to somebody else. So we played. It was 2-on-4, and they fucking kicked our ass. But that was okay because we were playing for beers. So, oh, by the way, good morning, Eric. Yeah, it's cool. Gulf City Outlaw, you know, get your in-laws taken care of. And a very good morning to you, Magog of Morscar. And he wants to do a superhero story. I'm kind of curious about this. I will throw a link. And that's because of my better judgment.
Better, worse.
Oh, I just sent him the link to the
Better,
Champions of
worse.
Justice.
What's
Hold
the
on.
difference?
So what do you, gaming, what do you think?
Haha.
So what do you, gaming, what do you think of Lucha Underground, since you're a Lucha fan and all that?
Do you know I can't comment on that. I haven't really looked into that yet. But I've heard a lot of good things for Lucha Underground and the other one that
Oh, the All-In.
who was it? Cody Rhodes created one.
Oh, AEW.
Which I heard it was like paying better than WWE, and I don't know. I mean, if Cody really creating something way better, then eventually it should be broadcasting in better television so people can actually watch. And I mean, I wish him nothing but the best so he could, you know, create maybe a better industry than WWE, because God knows WWE is fucking garbage.
Yeah,
It's hard to watch WWE, especially with fucking Vince McMahon who doesn't listen to the people. And it's just sad. Like, people are literally saying we don't want I can't even remember his name. I hate him so much. He left because he had cancer. What is that idiot's
Oh,
name?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Everybody hates him. Nobody wants him to be the champion. But Vince
They had to
McMahon.
edit out boos. That's how bad he was. They had to edit out boos on the live taping. How fucking shit are you?
All I'm thinking is he must have like amazing dick sucking skills. Because I don't know why he must suck really, really
Well,
good dick.
once again, and
Because nobody likes him.
It's a
But Vince
nepotism thing
McMahon
too.
loves him.
I mean,
So I don't fucking know.
who the hell was his uncles and
Yeah.
his father? You know. Yeah, he
The
was
Rock.
tapped into the
Rikishi.
Samoans. So they thought, well, genetically he's got to be there, and he's not a bad wrestler, but he's not a good worker.
He's not. He's not a good talker. Like
He's got a terrible gimmick as well, I reckon.
I mean, he's a good wrestler, but that's it. He doesn't have charisma. He doesn't have the talk. He doesn't have the brains for the fucking industry. He's a good wrestler, but that's about it. Everything else is fucking garbage. He's basically like a way watered down version of the Ultimate fucking Warrior. Because the Ultimate Warrior didn't have... Actually, he's like 100% the reverse of the Ultimate Warrior. Because the Ultimate Warrior had the looks, the skill, the look, the talk, and the stupidity, and the craziness, and the stories. He had all that, okay? He had all that. But
And the drugs.
But he didn't know how to wrestle. I mean, he just threw a clothesline, a body slam, and did
that's
his
the thing.
finishing move, and he went home.
The
That's it.
motherfucker was blown up by the time he got to the goddamn ring. That's why he only had like 2 or 3 minute matches, and then there were people that he got into the ring with that slowed him down and actually made him work. A big one was Andre. Andre would not tolerate his bullshit.
Randy Savage.
By the way, I do really like Lucha Underground because it's kind of superhero. It's kind of comic booky. And I like Pentagon Jr. a lot.
Oh, he fucking does.
Yeah.
Put him in top wrestling. at the moment.
Oh, he's fucking dope.
And he works.
He's
the
probably my
fucking
top
crowd.
wrestler at the moment.
That's the thing. There's a lot of people out there, especially in WWE right now, that think they can get over if they have great theme music and a good entrance. And it's like, yeah, you're just missing the fucking point.
Yeah.
I like Lucha because, of course, I should have used that as a belt because male or female can actually win their coveted gold. I kind of like Phoenix. I've always liked John Morrison.
Oh, he's awesome. That cunt. In WWE when he was with MNM.
Oh, he's awesome, that cunt. I remember him in WWE when he was with Eminem back in the day.
Well, even if
I used to
you
hate him
could
back in the
work.
day, but now you understand, like,
That's what the point of it was.
he's a fucking good worker.
They were the Hollywood cunts.
Yeah, that's what the point of it was, because they were heels,
I
they
like
were
most of the
fucking
female
the
workers
Hollywood
that are in
cunts.
there now, and Lucha was pushing them forward before the Divas actually became the women's division for WWE. And yeah, I mean, they do have some really good wrestlers. The storylines are fucking nuts, but that's okay. That's all right. We like fantasy. We like a.
And there's this other general you forgot about that Mexico did way before anybody else. Because I don't even think that WWE. Well, I'm 100% sure none of the other American wrestling people has ever done. Is the Mexico wrestlers that they have quote unquote gay characters. They call them lilos. The lilos were the
Yeah, there is that. There's a couple in Lucha Underground. There's like a trans dude or something.
So lilos are basically one of the most masculine, mean, badass fucking assholes, but they pretend to be like gay characters, And of course, the lilos are always considered as bad guys. So and they're always like grabbing wrestlers' crotches and trying to kiss them and this and that. And of course, they were super hated, but at the same point, everybody loved them because when they would do something really gay to another wrestler, everybody cheered and went crazy. But that's another thing that I really would want to see more, not because of gay characters, but now here they're so like left wing and they're like, oh no, transphobic, or they'll make whatever.
There's no good, more gold dust sort of characters, the weird gay sort of.
Well, can
Goldust kind of did that, but he didn't win all the way. But he did a pretty good job.
Wrestling conversation than Wrestling Today has had in their last 3 shows. That's fucking scary. Magog, you do not have to know wrestling. If you wanted to jump in and swerve the topic, you certainly can.
I've got a question for two of you. What do you reckon of fucking Becky Lynch's new gimmick?
Right, I've got a question for two of you. What do you reckon of fucking Becky Lynch's new gimmick? Do you reckon it's over the top,
I think they're not gauging the audience correctly. I liked it when she was doing the whole badass thing, and then when she was like, "No, I'm going to do this second fight with SummerSlam." But they've got to be careful with her. Because like when she got her face busted open, once again, thanks Nia Jax for fucking up people you're supposed to be protecting. You dumb cunt.
Yeah.
I used to like her. I used to like her a lot until I found out what a piece of shit she truly is. Then I'm like,
you can have it all. You can cut good, great
favorite
promos.
female character.
You can have good ring work, but if you're hurting people when you're in the ring, then you are of no use to the company.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Well, she's.
Why they still keep her is beyond me, but I mean, if she tries to improve herself to
Well, wait a
not
minute.
injure
If I'm not-
anyone, then good for her. But if she continues, she should be let
Well,
go.
if I'm not mistaken,
True, she
isn't
injured
Nia
more people
Rock's
than just
cousin?
Becky.
So there's that nepotism thing again, you know?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Rearing its ugly fucking head. Eric, actually, I saved Super Crazy once, and I've got that on tape. They were doing a show in my hometown, and
nice.
they were filming it at the time. I think it was for TNN. When they had that short-lived series on the Nashville Network, and Crazy went to climb over the railing and to try to climb up to the top so he could do one of his crazy-ass fucking moonsaults. And he slipped and started to fall. And, you know, everybody was, like, applauding him and stuff. And, you know, ECW crowds were pretty respectful. So we were backing away from him so he'd have enough room to grab onto shit. You know, to position himself and get the setup. We weren't, like, you know, trying to slap him on the back going, oh, you're the greatest, or trying to shake his hands or anything. We were all backed up. And he started slipping. And he just went, help me. And me and a buddy just surged forward and grabbed him by the arms. And pulled him back to the railing. And then he climbed on the railing and flipped right off of it. So I got to save Super Crazy. Not like he wouldn't have survived it. I'm sure he's fallen from one story previously. But yeah, I'm still involved with the independent community. Matter of fact, I just recently helped a guy for his Fed design his championship belt. And I do posters and I harass other people who do posters because some of these posters, oh man, I should just, you know what? I'm going to get a copy of it for y'all. I'm going to no tweet it. I will tweet you one that I did for this company and then one that this J-Bro did. And good God, is it fucking horrible. Wait a minute. Let's see. Where is he at? Is he under? Yeah, he is. There you are, you bastard. Ah, there it is. Holy shit, what a piece of shit. Okay, I'm gonna no context tweet. Which one? Pentagon?
That wrestler looks familiar.
Oh yeah, Pentagon Jr.
The one on that you
I
literally
don't
just
remember
tweeted out
what
with
he
that
wrestled
fucking
under, but
gorgeous
yeah,
belt.
he was with AAA. Okay. Here is
He looks very familiar. So
here is the
He's awesome.
I just no context tweeted the poster that just came out for this Fed. And let me parallel it. Oh God, it's that fucking gummy worm picture. Okay, so that's the one
shit, Doc.
that this guy
you
did.
deserve it, dog. You
And
deserve
this
it.
guy runs the promotion too. He's like, I'll save myself some money and I'll go ahead and make that. And so, you guys see it? Okay. Now, here's the one
God, it looks
that
like
I did
shit.
for him a couple months back.
Looks like shit.
I think there's a subtle difference in quality. It doesn't look like
Yeah,
he went
so
to a
much better.
special needs class and said, I need a poster. And they said, we like green. It's our favorite flavor. He's a dick. Yeah.
I despise Abdullah.
Hey, any
Yeah,
well,
he's
it's
garbage.
closed now.
He's
but,
pure garbage.
Yeah,
I would
anybody
never go to his
who
restaurant either.
willingly
Fuck that.
Shares
Yeah.
Hep C with other wrestlers. You know, he had Hep C almost as far back
I
from
think
what
he
they
got-
speculate as
Sorry.
about 15 years. And he was still doing bleeding matches because, you know, he's an old son of a bitch. He's in his 70s. That's all he can do is bleed. And welcome to the stream, Magog.
You know, I've been here for 5 minutes, and within that 5 minutes, I now
To
have
take a shit on,
heard enough
on wrestling or just
to
in
go
general?
take a shit.
Does it involve blood since we're talking about blood and hepatitis?
Just in general.
Does it involve blood? Since we're talking about blood and hepatitis.
All
Perhaps
my
it
all my
could
shit
help with
involves
that?
blood for some
I
reason.
don't know. I'm just
Okay,
throwing it
make
out
sure.
there.
Massive dildos, my dog.
He's a man. He does not
Stop using those massive dildos, Magog. They're not healthy.
No.
He's a man. He does not go to a fucking doctor.
Last time I went to a doctor and I told him that I piss red, white, and blue. That's how patriotic I am. He said, that might be prostate cancer. And I said, you shut your commie mouth.
Yeah, I'm about due for that. I finally got back on the insurance from wifey, and setting myself up an appointment. Gonna go. I guess they're gonna go feel my balls and put some fingers where normally I don't allow fingers.
Well, usually it's just one finger, sir.
That was a shit joke.
Well,
that,
usually it's just one finger, sir.
that was a shit joke, honestly. But no, I mean that was just a joke. I like hopped on here and I was waiting for a moment to kind of like say something because I don't know
Yeah.
much about wrestling. But then my computer just gave me a message; it needs to restart. So I'm gonna do that and hop back. Is that cool?
And when you hop back, you make sure you tell us the story that you're talking about.
I have a story I'm talking about.
You want to do a superhero story?
Yeah, who doesn't?
All right, good
Me.
deal.
Yeah, we'll talk when I get back. I'm gonna restart this stupid thing. Yeah, it just fucking updated.
Cool.
God damn it.
Love
By the way,
Windows.
Eric. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
have.
love Windows. All right, be back in a few, guys.
I
Okay.
have all the TNN shows that ECW did on DVD. I enjoyed them. I kind of liked them, but I didn't like them as much as, you know, back in the day, back in the 90s, people did a lot of tape trading back and forth. You know, ECW was not available in our market. So I would trade out with a buddy of mine who lived in New York, and he'd send me VHSs of their shows. I still have what, like 3 original
Why did I do
ECW
this?
shirts. I have a veritable plethora of Raslin shirts. My oldest one goes back to. Do you remember when they used to iron on the felt letters onto shirts? Well, that was what they had in the late 70s, early 80s for
Yeah.
Freebirds. And that was the very first shirt that I'd ever seen, you know, like a concert T-shirt. And it just said Bad Street USA in those fluffy plush letters.
Mhm.
And I'm like, fuck it, I'll buy it. You know, I'm always completely. Yeah, I mean, I have a tendency to fan out. I mean, I did it like when we did the comic book thing. I actually took a video camera up and did interviews with as many artists and writers that would actually talk to us at a comic book convention. And Yeah, I stay respectful in my fandom, but yeah, I mean, why not? Why not fanboy out? I mean, is there anything that you guys particularly fanboy with? Mm. I get to see one of my friends get sacrificed to the worm.
You know.
Yeah. Well, she's a skinny little bitch with huge tits.
Oh, nice.
So made for a perfect sacrifice.
It's so sad though now. That's the bad thing. Like when I see them, I'm like, it's just not the same without Odorous. You know?
They're so sad though now. That's the bad thing. Like when I
the,
see them, I'm like,
Don't they have
it's just not the same without
female who
Odorous.
filled
You know.
in for a while now as the lead?
No, yeah, and they've got another dude who's like a big pig-looking character. I actually like him.
No, yeah, and they've got another dude who's like a big pig-looking character.
I actually like him.
He's
Isn't
not
he like a
bad.
cousin or something of? I think they're related, aren't they?
I think so, yeah, but it's not Odorous. Like Odorous has like a unique voice, you know.
Well,
He's one of those people in rock and roll. I reckon he's underrated.
Yeah,
as
I
fuck.
actually
in terms of like
opened up
just the way he did shit. He come at it from
one
a
of these
different
shows
angle.
with Slaughterama.
Oh, fuck yeah. You heard how they got their start, right, Doc?
Oh fuck yeah!
Fuzzy, please fill me in.
Well, you heard how they got their stud, right, Doc? Well, Odorous had a band called Death Piggy that they were just playing underground shows with, and they were going to it. I think it was like an art college or something at the time, and there was a bloke there that was doing a movie, and he was making like all these special props for a movie about a rock and roll band that comes down from outer space and kills everyone. And then apparently one night they just got together and they did something, and they were like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And then they created that whole art collective.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's pretty much an art collective.
They came
you know
around
what I mean?
about the same time.
Well, that's how they explained it.
Groups like Plasmatics came around. They were considered to be more of a performance band than actually rock and rollers, but they proved they could play.
Yeah.
Fuck are you guys talking about?
Guar.
You never heard of Guar?
Plasmatics.
Magog?
Yeah, I know Guar
that
is.
was
I know
Wendy
the
O. Williams.
Plasmatics is.
She picked up where Jim
Plasmatics, yeah,
Morrison
I know that.
left off by getting arrested for obscenity. Because she on one show she got arrested because she simulated masturbating with a sledgehammer. Well, no, because he supposedly pulled his dick
horrible.
out. In
Yeah, but that's
Florida.
not why Jim Morrison got arrested.
Yeah, it was basically sexually explicit things.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically he didn't. He fled to France when they
Yeah,
were
but
going
he
to
beat
retry
that
him.
rap.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
he
yeah.
beat. No,
Yeah, you got me on that one.
no, he beat that rap by dying.
Now they were talking about this
By ODing in a
who was it?
bathtub in
Trippy was
fucking
talking
France.
about it.
That's how he got beat that rap.
With conspiracy theories about there are people who've come out in the past 10 years with books talking about how Jim Morrison was actually murdered or he overdosed in a bar, and then they drug him back to his little chalet or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, I don't buy any of that shit. Sometimes it's Occam's razor. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. Yeah, I don't buy any of that shit. Sometimes it's Occam's razor, isn't it? You know, sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. I mean, fuck's sake, the man did heroin.
Well, but here's
Like
the only,
you and
here's the
I
only
drink
caveat
water.
that I have.
What the fuck
Morrison,
did we
like
expect was
Jim
going to happen to him?
Or like John
You know?
Belushi, neither one of them liked needles. They were very skittish about needles, so they normally had other people shoot them up. Well, yeah, but I mean, these guys had people who were injecting.
You don't have to like needles to be addicted to heroin.
And the biggest speculation is that his cunt of a girlfriend gave him a hot dose that night and killed him. Overdosed him. And
Even if that's true, it would have happened eventually anyway with the level of drug use those guys did. It's almost like a fucking non-issue unless you're talking about somebody possibly getting away with murder, in which case you ain't got no fucking evidence. It's just a conspiracy theory.
Oh shit! Is it doing?
They found him alone in his bathtub. The fuck?
Okay, hold on.
What do you want?
It's doing that fucking bullshit again where it's overlapping. I know how to fix this.
What happened?
Because I'm a technical kind of guy. So let's hit that stream again. We're showing green. KBS is running right. Okay. We should be good to go again.
Yay!
Woot! What kind of hamster wheel are you running the stream off of?
It's a very dead one.
Oh no! It just honestly, if I had my old setup, it just would have crapped out and died. It just would have been gone. Hey, Mad Metal Man, if you do want to jump in, I don't know where I can track you.
He's back in what the hell you call it on Twitter. Plus, I can send him a link if you like.
If you would, please, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, they were talking about it, and it's like, dead's dead. Like, eventually, Belushi would have died somewhere down the line for his excesses. Same with Janis Joplin. Same with Jimi Hendrix.
Well, same with a lot of them. I mean, at the end of the day, I think people form conspiracy theories about their idols, such as Jim Morrison, because they think that the music would have kept coming and, things would have been great without him. But I think Jim dying at such a young age actually made his music more valuable because there wasn't going to be any more. Not with Jim anyway. The Doors went on to continue, performing and shit and got a new lead singer and stuff, but it wasn't the same, without Jim. So sometimes when it's something like that happens, especially that long ago, when we didn't have like the forensic technologies that we have today, you're just going to have to fucking let it go. I don't know why people are wanting to fucking write books about the shit and stuff. I mean, if it's their hobby, I can't judge, but it's like you can't go back in time with a modern forensic kit and try to find out if it was some shady shit. You just got to accept the fact that 40 years ago he fucking died, Well, and definitely
shitheads will certainly make money off a corpse because they can't refute it.
Right.
And both him, what is it? His girlfriend died like months later? She OD'd too?
No, she lived for a while.
Yeah, they were all a bunch of fucking they were all a bunch of fucking high ass drug taking hippies.
Well, let's push this several decades forward then. What about Cobain?
What about him?
Do you think it was a murder or a suicide?
Don't fucking care.
Really?
Nope. Courtney Love is a piece of shit, but I am not going to sit here and semi-accuse somebody of something if there's no evidence. I'm sorry. We live by certain laws, and some people can skirt those laws. It sucks. But I don't hop on the, guilty until proven innocent bandwagon. I don't do it. I just don't do it. I'm sorry. It has to be equal across the board. It was the same with the Kavanaugh situation. It's like, I'm not going to hop on that fucking bandwagon. The news media came out, and the moment that woman spoke and opened her mouth, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. I mean, that was just the picture that was painted, even though there was no evidence or nothing like that.
By the way, didn't this bitch made like $500,000 for lying, and nothing happened to her?
What, the Kavanaugh?
Yeah, the bitch that fucking said he fucking
she made more than that. She got like a $2 million book deal, dude.
Yeah. You're just talking about what she made off that fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, the GoFundMe got her $500,000, and then there's the $2 million book deal and the TV deals and all that stuff. It was like, and when the fucking leftist rags came out, we're like, she has no reason to lie. Really, motherfuckers, she has no reason to lie. She has no reason to lie. Look at the money she's making. I had that argument with a lot of people. It's like, why don't you? I was like, why don't you believe Kavanaugh? Well, why don't you believe her? Because I've seen The Crucible, you fucking idiots. The Crucible is not a user's manual, right?
And at the end, didn't she just admit she didn't do it?
No, in the end, the only thing she truly admitted to was that the possibility that it could have been somebody else.
Yeah.
Maybe. Somebody who kind of looked like Kavanaugh, or maybe she's misremembering or something like that. But at the end of the day, she never outright, because she can't. If she came out and said she outright, misspoke or lied or mistook him for somebody else from her past 30 years ago, it would have all crumbled for her. Book deal gone, everything like that, So I think she gave the politician answers. But there was just too much about that whole situation that just didn't feel right from the beginning. Like when she originally didn't want to come in front of Congress, she wanted to have them fly out to her to take her statements and stuff because she was afraid of flying. And then this one Republican senator was like, well, I looked on your social media page and you were in like Bali and the Caribbean, and there's pictures of you snorkeling down in Mexico. Did you take a plane to those places? And she was like, yeah, I'm only afraid of flying unless I'm on vacation. And it's like, bitch, that's not how a fear of flight works. Like, that is just not how it works.
Are you sure? Because she seemed so genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And even when her friends came up and said, no, that didn't happen. I mean, usually when you have more people testifying that shit didn't happen, it's an automatic belief that it actually didn't happen.
Everybody who came out and accused Kavanaugh of other misdeeds recanted their statements. Like after that little trial was over. That's huge red flags to me.
Well,
And what I saw was them trying to use political pressure and social pressure to stop him from becoming justice.
Oh, yeah.
And the moment it didn't work and he got sworn in office, all of a sudden it was like, well, we tried. Pay those people and get them to recant their statements and let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I saw. That's what I saw happen. But there's still like people that are close to me. There's certain family members that I don't want to speak, I don't want to dox or anything like that. But I even have certain family members that to this day still believe her over him. And it's just like, are you people not like, do you guys not know what evidence is? Like, do you need to look the word up? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not just siding with Kavanaugh because he's a man. I certainly didn't side with Cosby. I certainly didn't side with Weinstein or whatever his fucking name is. That fucking asshole Hollywood producer. Like that shit. Everybody knows that's the type of shit that goes on in Hollywood for like fucking generations. It's gone on.
Well, it's
Tinseltown was built on the backbone of that kind of fucking business. Are you kidding me? You go all the way back to the Silver Age of comic book or of Hollywood. It's the comic books of Hollywood, and they were still bussing girls in from the Midwest and promising them, dreams of stardom and all this and that, and they end up as whores. Like that shit happened all the way back to like the 30s and 40s, man.
Use the Fireface Flyer. I know you guys are probably too young for this, but with the Clarence Thomas hearings, and you guys know where Clarence Thomas stands on the political spectrum. Anita Hill tried to get him bounced out because he made an inappropriate joke about a can of Coke with a pubic hair, and they morally went after him.
Okay,
They crucified him.
It was the whole. It doesn't make a difference if you're qualified or not. He had a bad sense of humor, so since he had a bad sense of humor, he must have been a sexual deviant.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where the moral outrage seems to be coming more from the left than the right, and right now they're destroying each other. I mean, fuck. I mean, I hate to say this live on air, but this is genuinely how I feel, and I don't like to hide who I truly am or lie. I'm fucking happy that 1,500 fucking journalists got fired in the past 2 weeks.
I didn't even hear much about that.
Oh, man, by the way, before we jump into that one, good morning, Desmarie. Good morning, Lo-Fi.
Yes,
Sugar Mama.
Yeah, I just, BuzzFeed and HuffPo were the first to do it last week. They laid off over 1,000 people combined. And then this week, Vice laid off 10% of their staff, which was about 250 people. And it's because this clickbait bullshit ain't working anymore. Nobody's clicking on it. Nobody likes it.
Well, yeah, but Vice really wasn't a news organization anyway.
Agreed.
No, they were a propaganda machine.
They were Vice Media, but yeah, there are a lot of op-eds, and Vice was responsible for a lot of those top 20 lists, or here's a quiz, like, that you used to click on Facebook. Now they got so many ads on them, you don't fucking click on them anymore. It's like, oh, that'd be a cool quiz to take. See if you can recognize these 20 1980s movies. And I clicked on that one because I was like, ooh, 1980s movies. I love 1980 movies. And it fucking ad. Every time you answer a question, an ad. Fuck this. I'm out. Like nobody likes that shit. Plus, they inflated their numbers by buying, by basically buying traffic so that they can bolster their own numbers and get investors. And once the investors stopped coming, they had to lay off. It's just the way it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, what was the first one that went down?
Gawker?
Huh?
Gawker?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Was that the one where they did a GoFundMe and said that if you help fund them at a certain tier level, you would be granted access to their exclusive Discord?
Well, I don't know. I don't
know. That was fucking feminist frequency. That was Anita Sarkeesian's bullshit. She tried to raise like $30,000 for a new video series by offering her fucking Discord.
That's some hardcore douchebaggery.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hardcore dipshits who fucking like her.
Oh, yeah.
And they're dumb enough to pay.
But Gawker was the first to be taken down, but not taken down by this change in algorithms and the actual digital landscape. But they were taken down by Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Yeah.
He did the elbow drop on them.
Yeah.
The leg drop.
Because he had a sex tape or something released, and I guess they did a whole story about it, and he sued him for slander and won. So
well, it was also because he used the word nigger frequently.
Not in that video.
That video is not very impressive because it's shot on CCTV.
I don't give a fuck. Like all I care about is that's the first sign of like tabloid type paparazzi type fucking news that nobody fucking cares about anymore. Like, I'm not saying nobody, because they still have an audience. There's still people who want to see those snapshots of their favorite celebrity drunk at a club or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's all lowest common denominator bullshit. And it can't last long, especially with the changing digital landscape. I recently read a report that showed that like more and more of America is just not believing the news anymore. They don't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 53% of fucking Americans, like across the board, men, women, different ages, like 53% of Americans don't trust the news media.
Well, seriously, how many times do you need to get your hand caught in the cookie jar before people are going to completely dismiss you?
Yeah, BuzzFeed was a perfect example of that. They did that story. I even did a quick video on that because it was a trending topic and I thought it was interesting. BuzzFeed came out with a story with the smoking gun. They finally got it. We're going to get Trump this time. He told Cohen to lie under oath. Okay, and then like Mueller himself had to come out and be like, "That's just a lie." And Mueller doesn't even like Trump, and Mueller had to come out and straighten that shit out, and that hurt BuzzFeed's credibility hardcore. Like big time. Like they had to recant everything. And they were like, but we had sources. No, you had anonymous people on the phone lying to you and you ran with it.
By the way,
that's not a source.
Excel. Good morning to Excel. Yeah, it's, I mean, and like with the whole Russian peeing scandal too.
That was a big one in 2016 after he was elected. You know, it's like, oh, he paid hookers to pee on Trump paid hookers to pee on a bed that Michelle and Barack once slept on 1,000 years ago. Like, even if he did that, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
It's not their actual bed. You know that, right? Like, it's not like he went to their home and had hookers pee on their bed. It was at a hotel that in a room they supposedly stayed in. It was all ridiculous. And it just keeps happening. The Covington boys is another example of that. The news media just jumping on something without doing the research, without waiting to see the evidence. And if it keeps happening much longer, we're going to see a quicker decline. I really feel like mainstream media and a lot of the big-time digital media names are in a race to the bottom right now.
It made me think of actually every so often, Facebook does have a good joke, and the joke was, what's the difference between liberals and puppies? The difference is that after a couple of months, puppies stop whining.
Oh, I went to a wholly different dark place there.
I don't think I want to know.
I was sitting there thinking in my brain, be like, maybe it's because you don't get as much jail time for killing puppies.
I was thinking puppies can get drowned easier.
I got a better one. What's the difference between liberals and puppies? Puppies are smarter. It's a really bad joke until you really think about it and go, you know what? I'd actually rather trust a dumb animal to write news.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I really would. Like, did you ever see that parody? I can't remember who did it, but I love that parody. That shit was so funny. The guy was sitting there, and it was like a Huffington Post writer. And he's sitting there, and he goes, what am I going to write about today? And then he's like, I got no ideas. And then he opens up a drawer, and he pulls out one of them, like, suction cup dildos. And he, like, closes his eyes and flings it at the wall. And on the wall is, like, a big old board that has, like different subjects, and it's like feminism, trans people, gay people, and it's all like whatever the dildo stuck to. That's what he wrote about. And he's sitting there throwing these dildos over his shoulder, and it's like sticking to different topics. And he's like, "Aha!" And then it pulls up a real Huffington Post article like about every topic that it hit. It was so funny, and I was like, "That's kind of like how I imagine it." Because you got to understand, a lot of these people were op-ed writers. They're not actual journalists.
Oh,
yeah. The ones that were laid off we're journalists, and this is an attack on democracy. Losing our jobs is an attack on... It's like, no, you wrote fluff pieces and propaganda that were opinionated. You weren't actual, like, on-the-ground investigative journalism. You are a fucking opinion writer that basically writes Trump derangement syndrome, you know?
Yeah. Well, some of them are interesting, but welcome to the stream, Ichabod.
I'm dying slightly.
Did you come on just to do your joke?
I came on to make 2 jokes now because one of them came to mind while waiting for you to make the joke.
What joke?
Well, one of them was, God. I also have a question because I brought it up on my show, and I'm not sure if Doc's right or I'm right. Was Max Thrust supposed to be a gay porn star or a normal porn star?
He was supposed to be a normal porn star.
Damn it!
It was all
All
about.
right, Doc, I owe you $1.
It was all about. Because, I mean, I'm sorry. I'd love to have other characters in that show if I write it that are gay. I've got no problem with gay people, but Max Thrust himself,
Ew.
Was creepy because, he is also, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend gay people, but to this day, no matter what changes in society happen, 90% of the world's still heterosexual. That's the biggest audience to sell to. Sorry.
You know what? This is fucking offensive.
Just for gaming.
Fuck you,
and yelling.
Magog. You know what? I'm sick of it.
You do the gay episode, but you make the gay porn star like the big black dude and call him King Dong.
But here's the thing. But at the same time, it really depends on the personality of the actor playing that character and stuff too, because I know for a fact that a lot of straight male porn stars will still do gay porn because it pays more.
Does it?
Nothing at King Dong.
Wait a minute. Woman, why did you say that so definitively and so quickly?
Which one are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Oh, Nurse Wicked, wifey's over here going, yep, it pays more.
It does pay more.
It fucking
Significantly
does.
more.
Well, for men.
Yeah.
Because male porn stars don't make as much as female porn stars. And so if you do gay porn, you actually get paid more because that's a special market. And pretty much you can guarantee whoever's watching that is gay. And that's what they enjoy and that's what they pay for. But, that is a widely known fact of the porn industry is that even straight guys will be like, yeah, I'll suck a dick for $10,000. It's better than only getting paid $4,000 to do a scene with a girl.
But wait, this brings up the question of Magog, would you suck a dick for $10,000?
That has no bearing on the conversation, and the answer is no.
Aw, damn it. Okay, so the 2 jokes I wanted to make was, number 1, do you think Hulk Hogan has a fluffer?
No. From that video, he definitely did not. And he was having difficulties, shall we say.
Well, he's all voided out, so,
Yeah. And the second joke was, Magog, can necromancers cure depression because people are dead inside?
No.
Damn.
Like, I really do believe that necromancers are the epitome of depression. So you can't cure yourself.
See, I was trying to make you laugh with that, but I feel I've only made you worse, and that was not my intention.
No, I'm a cynical bastard. To be honest with you, I've hated you since the day you were born. You just didn't know it.
Aw, Magog.
Don't take it personally. I've hated everybody since the day they were born. I'm joking.
Yeah.
You got all even Luis Guzman got quiet on that one. He was like,
No, I just don't give a fuck.
God damn. No, I admit that sometimes my comedy goes to a dark place and that sometimes I cross the line. And that's literally what happened. Like I feel like some of my fans are really angry with me because I took the last episode of SideQuest down. We just went way too overboard with certain jokes, and that's not really allowed in Canada. And since we're in Canada, out of respect for him and to evade any kind of in real life consequences for my co-hosts who live in other countries that don't have free speech, I went ahead and took it down.
Fair enough.
It's understandable.
Well, yeah, because they could legitimately hunt his ass.
Yeah, if anybody were to turn in certain segments of last show into the Canadian fucking
authority,
what is it? The hate speech courts or whatever. Humane courts or whatever it's called. He could get in serious trouble. So I completely understand why he was worried about that particular episode and some of the jokes, how dark they were.
Yeah.
But that's comedy too, you know? Like sometimes you can ask any stand-up comedian, no matter how popular they are, no matter how famous, no matter how beloved they are, every single one of them have bombed on stage.
Oh, yeah.
At some point in their career. It is bound to happen. And it's the same with improv comedy shows on live streams. It doesn't matter if you're in front of an audience in real life or on the internet. Sometimes you push boundaries, you try something with comedy, and it doesn't work. And you just learn from your mistake and you move on. You scrap that, that skit.
Yeah, that is the entirety of my show, is bombing repeatedly.
Yeah, I would not say that, but...
Oh, by the way, Doc, just as a side note, as a commentary about what I'm doing next week, I have somebody whose avatar is Pony Stalin.
Okay.
Coming on next week for Citrus Quest.
I do not know who that is.
They were on Chambers' show tonight, which is why I'm so goddamn exhausted. You son of a bitch!
I wasn't watching much of anything tonight. It was gaming with wifey, saving her.
Okay, I wholeheartedly acceptable. Spending time with your significant other is more important than anything you could possibly do on YouTube. No offense to anybody without a significant other or who thinks differently. Don't fucking crucify me.
Fucking
you're dead to me.
Fucking Dan S is in the chat trying to get me to say the joke, one of the bad jokes that we had on the last episode.
I mean,
I totally agree with you, Eric. Comedy is supposed to push the envelope, and I've always believed that. I've always believed. George Carlin once said that a comedian's job is to find the line and then cross it. Right?
Yeah.
But I am not the only person on my show. And we don't all live in America. I wish every country in the world had the same free speech laws as America, but we just don't. And I would hate for something terrible to happen to my co-hosts that live in Canada, because that shit's real. That shit is real, man. Like, I read a story one time, because a lot of people are like, it's not as bad as the news makes it out to be in Canada and all. So I decided to look up actual court cases at the Human Rights Tribunal courts, which are separate from regular law courts. They are literally just the hate speech court. That's all they care about, is what people think and what people say on social media and stuff. And I looked up this one, and I read this one trial where a woman sued a mechanic shop for sexism, and the guy who owned the mechanic shop had to pay 35,000 Canadian dollars as a punishment, because when she asked to come into the shop and see her car, he warned her that it was dirty inside. And she took that as like, oh, you're a dainty girl, you don't want to get your fucking dress dirty. No, he was basically like, it is a maintenance shop. If you want to come back here, just be warned. It's pretty fucking filthy back here. But no, she took it as like, oh, what, I'm a woman, I'm afraid to get dirty. And she sued, and they went to the Human Rights Tribunal, and she won. That was considered sexism, and he had to pay $35,000. I would hate for that to happen to Beardy. So yeah, I pulled it down.
Okay,
that's nothing to do with my personal feelings on comedy, because I've always tried to push the envelope with comedy. I feel like that's the purpose of comedy, but I also have to think of the interests of my friends and my co-hosts.
100% fair. So yeah, no, I wouldn't give you no shit for that stuff. But on that glowing, lovely note about the widespread oppression of people in Canada, I'm going to go ahead and head back out because I'm still super fucking exhausted. I just wanted to make those jokes, and it had become clear Doc wasn't going to do it.
I didn't get over there, man. I was slow.
If Dan S really wants me to tell the joke on your stream, I will, because I don't think anybody's living in Canada that's on this stream. But that's up to Doc, too.
But just real quick, good morning, Sisyphus, and good morning, Dennis. If you'd like to, you certainly can. And thanks for swinging by, Ichabod.
Yep. One of the jokes, there was a lot more of them, but one of the big jokes that kind of kicked off this path going down like to the real extreme dark side of comedy was it just popped into my head and I cracked a chicken joke. And I said, why did the chicken cross the road? And everybody on stream was like, why? And I was like, same reason I do, to get away from the black people.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a dual joke because, black people like chicken, fried chicken and stuff, but also, crossing the street when you see a bunch of black guys. And it landed really well. The audience laughed, but that was the beginning of the end for Beardy because the racist jokes could get him really in trouble in Canada. And so we're still trying to figure things out and come up with a list of the really, really, because SideQuest has always been offensive. Yeah. But I guess there are certain things we just need to stay away from, and that's fine too because SideQuest is supposed to be fun. It can still be somewhat offensive, but it to be offensive for the sake of being offensive isn't really SideQuest. Now that can be Magog, that can be Poe. Poe says more horrible shit than anybody. I don't know what it is, but when I do a Poe script, I just let it all out. Doing Poe is like cathartic. When I'm Magog and I'm doing a script, I'm trying to stay away from like directly attacking somebody, like I'm trying to attack their ideas or call their video stupid or, whatever it is. But with Poe will straight tell somebody to go fucking die in a fire. Like Poe's an evil little fucking, an evil little part of my psyche. I don't know what it is.
Well, I mean, that's your form of kabuki. You put on the mask and you become something different.
Yeah, definitely. It's kabuki theater for sure. I mean, it's just, we had to make some changes, and this is the first time I've talked about it, and I don't think the show is going to change for the worst. I don't think people watch SideQuest necessarily for the really offensive, really, really offensive humor. They watch the show because we all work well together, and it's this fantasy setting, and it has like this interactivity with the health bars and stuff like that. So I don't think anybody's going to be missing anything because honestly, that was the first show out of like 70 since we started this thing that I went that dark and that racist and that, and it was, I thought I was doing it kind of lighthearted. It's not like I was real hardcore, like just to be mean. But I created a gimmick that Poe cast a fucking racist curse on Magog and I couldn't stop saying racist shit. And it just didn't work for the needs of other people on the stream who fall under different laws than us. So I scrapped it just in case he doesn't want that coming back and biting him in the ass. And I totally get that. I'd do anything for Beardy, and he's a great guy and I don't want him to get in trouble. I hate that he lives in Canada and has to worry about shit like that,
Well, we need to ship him into the States then. Get him out of Canada.
I wish that was possible, but I don't think that's going to be possible because it takes time and money to get somebody a citizenship and stuff, so.
Well, I just had a friend that got deported back to Canada. And they're more than happy to let him slide back in, but he's like, oh man, the paperwork for me to come back is just going to be, he said he was looking at a minimum to start everything about 10 grand.
Yep. It's not a fun process. I've said it for years, even though I am a huge advocate for stricter border control for illegal immigration and drugs and illegal weapons and sex trafficking and all the horrible shit that goes on our border. I'm a huge advocate for stopping that. I've also been an advocate for sitting down and talking about the legal immigration reform. We got to reform the system, a little bit. And I don't think we should make it like super easy to where people could just like walk up and show a passport and get into our country forever and ever. But there's definitely way too many hoops for people to jump through, in my opinion. It's all bureaucratic nightmare. And that's really what happens when the government runs too much shit.
I can't disagree.
You know, the government creates red tape like no other entity on the planet. You know, like that's what governments do, is create fucking bureaucracy. You know.
Oh, and yeah. I mean, that's the cliche drowning in red tape. Well, cliches come about because of truisms.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's why I consider myself kind of a right-leaning centrist individualist, because I do believe in smaller government. And that's why I can never buy into the liberal, you know, the democratic mindset of the government needs to handle every fucking thing. It's like, are you serious? Like, every time that fucking Ocasio-Cortez lady talks about the government-funded healthcare and that we should have the government running literal, like, hospitals and shit, I'm like, has this bitch ever been to the DMV? Like, those are the people you want running healthcare? Seriously? Like have you ever met a government employee? They're great people, but it's not like they have a lot of incentive. You know, it's a shit job. Most people get a job with the government or the state to get good benefits. It's not even that high paying. You know?
See, us talking about the whole racial stuff. Have you ever seen the movie The Onion? The website The Onion came out with a movie. I've seen
that. Yeah, they did a movie. Yeah, I remember seeing that. It's been years, but I remember it. Yeah.
They had just one of those quick segments about little known racial stereotypes. I really do want to play this. Here, wait. Let's see if I can get it up here.
There was one that The Onion did. It was an actual video, and so they had their like fake. It might have even been from the movie, but they had their fake news anchors on there talking about who was going to run for president. It was a presidential year, and I think it was the second year Obama ran. So it was like 4 years ago. It had nothing to do with Trump, or 6 years ago. And so, like, I remember it, and I remember laughing so hard because, like, the first candidate was like the white hot screeching ball of pure fear. It was like this alien entity that speaks into our minds, and it was so funny.
Well, just for the benefit, I don't care if we get a takedown on this. This is and I won't do the My Circle because it's less than a minute long. But let me go ahead and I'll play this out for Smiles.
Well-known racial stereotypes. Yes, everyone knows that Italians are all monsters, and Native Americans are all drunks. But did you know that blacks love taffy? It's also true that Eskimos run all the locksmith shops. The Irish have enormous nipples. And Puerto Ricans can dangle from steel beams for hours at a time.
Damn, that's unbelievable. How does he do that?
Also, did you know that the Dutch enjoy speaking with telemarketers?
Ethan? Special credit card offer?
Peruvians love to swoop in and save the day at the last minute. And they can shoot laser beams out of their eyes. And of course, all Arabs are terrorists. Stereotypes. Can you imagine a world without them?
So, yeah, there you go. Just had to share that. There are callbacks on that too, but oh, good God, that's some funny stuff. I don't know. I've been a little bit more ear to the ground, checking out the people that are supposedly the new wave of comedians, and there's only one word that keeps coming up every time that I watch this the so-called new wave of comedians, and that word is neutered.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you know, it's been said multiple times, but it's becoming a stereotype in and of itself. But comedy is fucking dead and it's or dying and it's for real. I mean, how many times have you heard people say, "Oh, I love Blazing Saddles, but you couldn't make that movie today"?
Every time.
Every fucking person I've ever talked to, if old comedy movies come up that are, you know, like that, I mean, you name them, not just Blazing Saddles, look at like Porky's. That's an incredibly sexist fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like you just can't do Animal House, you know, oh, that's, you know, toxic masculinity, Animal House, you know, and it's like, man, you people have fucking lost your minds going after comedy, man. But that's the world we live in. I mean, we literally have congressmen and senators who, you know, are fucking anti-Semitic openly, publicly, you know, is what it is. Like, we live now in a weird world where liberalism, democratic liberalism, as in the Democrats, both simultaneously fight against every aspect of what made this country great while propping up a culture and religion that completely contradicts everything they fucking believe in. It's so weird. Like, how many times have you seen, like, a feminist defend Islam? That's the weirdest thing to me. It really is. Or, like, gay people defending Islam. That fucking blows my mind to this day.
Yeah, I think it's because their register or their meter has been so far bent to one side, it's not going to snap back to anything rational. So, the in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, I just want one time just to say fuck you to the radical left, fuck you to Democrats, fuck you to all these PC people, to see a gay comedian get up on stage and go, if I ever visited the Middle East and I walked into the hotel and the guy asked me what floor I wanted to be on, I'd be like, the one as far away from the rooftop as possible. That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I would take one on the ground floor, because when you guys end up throwing me out the window, I don't have far to land.
Yeah, you're taking it too far. You got to make people think about the joke and then they laugh. See, you were too on the nose. It'd just be really funny for a gay comedian to be like, I was at a hotel in the United Arab Emirates and I was surrounded by people with turbans and I was checking in and they asked me what floor and I was like, ground floor, please. I hope I don't have to explain why. You know, like that. I just want to see people who are comedians. It doesn't matter if you're left, right. You know, I don't care if you're gay, trans. If you're a comedian, get a backbone. Because that's the big thing, is a lot of comedians are afraid that they're going to have hate mobs, you know, sicked on them.
Well,
so they tiptoe around things. Even though they're genuinely funny people, maybe off stage, you know, talking to their buddies in the green room, their fellow comedians, they're probably doing all kinds of jokes and stuff to get warmed up that they could never say on stage because they're just afraid to.
Well, I think the last line crosser died about 10 years ago almost. Patrice O'Neal. He did not give a fuck.
No, there's still plenty of comedians that cross the line. You just have to actually seek them out because they're not promoted by the mainstream media.
And who would you recommend then?
Even though I consider him more of a centrist with a lot of certain left-leaning ideology, but he's also somewhat right-leaning ideology too. And so it just depends on, like, that's why I feel like he's a centrist, but he's definitely somebody who doesn't give a fuck is Bill Burr. Bill Burr doesn't give a fuck. Plain and simple. His comedy cracks me the fuck up.
I can say that his performance back in Philly a long time ago was still one of the funniest sets I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, Bill's fucking great.
Tyro is suggesting Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. was starting to walk the line until he got into trouble. Now he don't give a fuck, and I have a little bit more respect for him.
Yeah, I heard his set. The one that leaked. It's on the tubes right now, and yeah, it's pretty much going after SJWs.
Oh yeah, no, I know he got in. That was another controversy because somebody actually recorded his set and released it online to show how evil he was, and they went after him again. But he was straight up just like, "What are they gonna do? I've already lost like all my money, all my movie deals I had lined up. I'm back to working like underground clubs. Fuck them."
Yeah, it's like after Tiger got caught fucking around, and they yanked all of his
sponsorships.
Yeah, I mean, millions and millions of dollars gone in the snap of a fingers.
Yep. Nick DiPaolo's funny too, Eric. I'm watching the chat. People are.
I like Nicky too.
Nick DiPaolo's funny as fuck too. There's still plenty of comedians who are like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do my comedy." Now, even then, though, there's a lot of comedians who still just refuse to work college campuses, even if they are walking the line. Because let's face it, out of everybody, college students are just the most offended anyway.
Well, Seinfeld hit the fucking nail on the head. He's like, I want to go there. I want to give people a good time, but there's nobody there looking to have a good time anymore. They're looking to catch you doing something and to point a finger and to accuse you. And he's like, I don't need it.
Yeah, they're the ultimate PC police on college campuses. It's not until they get out into the real world and life hits them in the face with a brick that they finally calm down a little bit. Even if they do get online and spurg out every day on Twitter or write blogs about feminism and Nazis taking over the country and stuff, at the end of the day, most people in real life probably calm down after college.
Holy fuck. Have you ever heard of an online site called Paste Magazine?
No.
Well, here is their top 15 comics of 2018, and you can tell me if you know any of these. Joe Firestone.
Nope.
That's a female, by the way. Maya Rudolph.
Nope.
Well, she was from Saturday Night Live, but she's not known for her stand-up. Apparently, this is for stand-up. James Acaster.
Nope.
Adam Caton Holland.
Nope.
Aparna Nachurla. No.
I'm not a huge fan of chocolatey cracker spreads. So,
well, hey, here's one I know. Chris Rock. Wow. Okay.
Well, Chris has always been on the top. Even though he's fallen out of doing movies, his stand-ups are always still just incredibly hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of like him. He's slice of life. Number 9 is Cameron Esposito. Number 7 and 8 are Sam Richardson and Tim Robinson.
Okay, no.
Number 6 is Tom Sharpling. Number 5 is Hassan Minhaj. Number 4 is John Mulaney. Nope. Number 3 is Michelle Wolf.
I know who Michelle Wolf is.
Number 2 is Joe Pera.
Nope.
And number 1 is Hannah Gadsby. Okay, this must be a gay advocate site. Or just completely fucking clueless. Because there are some very big names that are missing from this.
I rented the Dennis Miller stand-up. He had a new one come out on DVD. And I rented it on Amazon. And it came out in 2018. And it was fucking hilarious if you like right-wing comedians. Because Dennis Miller is probably definitely one of the the bigger right-wing, more right-leaning comedians. Or at least center-right. There was a joke he did in that one where he was like, all these people coming out with journalist degrees and they can't find a job afterwards. He's like, you know how unimpressive and useless a journalism degree is these days? I've got one.
Yeah, because I would think they would have mentioned at least somebody like Bo Burnham. I think he's pretty good.
There's a lot of comedians that still hit their marks. Don't get me wrong, even the left-leaning ones. But nobody likes this fucking oh, I'm going to do like a whole 20-minute set on Trump. You know, nobody likes it anymore. Maybe it was a good thing to do back when he was first elected for like that first year, do a lot of anti-Trump stuff, but now it's just old and boring. You know, nobody cares. Even Bill Burr, you know, Bill Burr doesn't like Trump. He's done plenty of jokes, but at least he does jokes for both sides. Like I remember watching one of his more recent one from, I think it was 2016 or early 2017, where he was like, these are the two candidates that we have to choose from. Like a racist dope and the devil. Like that was, and so at least he made fun of both, right? He wasn't on stage going, a racist dope and the most wonderful person to ever have run for office, and she should have won. You know, he made fun of both. And I'm okay with
that. You know, I don't mean to sound misogynistic, but most funny comedians are male. It's just like the fact that we've come to accept that you know, the best baseball players are Dominican Republics, or from the Dominican Republic. Sometimes you get a good white guy in there. Most of the time in hockey, it's all white. Most of the time in basketball, it's all black. There are just people who are inclined to do certain skills and certain jobs better. And for them to take a top 15 list and pepper half of it with female comedians, just because they, to me, looking at the article, it looks like they're trying to meet a quota. And,
yeah.
And funny does not have a quota.
No, and I have, you know, anybody who says women can't be funny completely and stereotypes all women have obviously never seen Lisa Lampanelli. She cracks me the fuck up.
God, Roseanne, when she was starting out.
Yeah, there are plenty of female comedians that were great. They're just not as many.
Yeah.
And I don't have an explanation for that, except for maybe just men are more, are just better at structuring jokes in a way to make it funny. You know, it's a skill that can be learned, I'm sure.
Well, my thought on that is that men societally are most of the time taught to hold everything down, and then when they get to the point where they can't handle it anymore, they kind of blow their stack. But in the interim, they have to make nicey nice. So that's where our inherent fallback to let's make this a joke so we can handle it a little bit better. I think that's where kind of the psychology of it comes in. Now, see, if Aiden was awake, we could just pull her in, and she could answer that for us.
Well, there's definitely probably a psychology behind it, and you know, certain things that women experience in life just aren't as funny as what men experience in life, and so there's not as much to draw from. Maybe, I don't know, like. There's just, it depends on the type of comedy. I mean, I mention Lisa Lampanelli because what I respect about her is she don't give a fuck what people think. And
she's retracted a few times.
Yeah, maybe in the more recent, you know, social and cultural changes, but back in the day, man, she was fucking hardcore. I remember seeing one of her sets where she was like, looking in the crowd, and she was like, got a few black guys here, there's a Mexican. She's like, if I'm not gang raped at the end of the show, I'm going to be really disappointed. I lost my shit at that joke.
God.
I laughed my fucking ass off at that joke. And so it's like, I don't like it when people change too sometimes, but change is inevitable. But I do hate it when comedians who used to be like really good and really, really out there and really offensive have changed their comedy in order to shift with this cultural movement of being less offensive. I don't like that. I lose respect for comedians who do that.
Well, and that's the thing. The comedian is the social weather vane, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they basically go where the wind blows, but usually if there's a strong wind, it pushes them a lot harder. So there's your line crossing. and they're just not doing it because they still want those big college gigs.
Right.
They want to get on Netflix or on Comedy Central. And
that's the old way of doing things. I think that the digital media is going to change that eventually. I really do. I think a lot more comedians are going to just start doing video blogs and, doing their own YouTube channels and stuff. I'm talking professional comedians, and I think that's going to happen. I mean, because we've seen the success of Joe Rogan. Bill Burr's podcast is hugely popular, maybe not as big as Joe's, but these people learned that they can still do stand-up. They can still go down to the Comedy Store and things like that, and go to all these different events and have Netflix specials and all this and that, but they can also make a huge revenue off of just online podcasts and comedy skit shows and stuff like that without having to bend the knee to corporate sponsorships and Comedy Central and stuff like that. Basically what I'm saying is what used to be the ultimate end goal for comedians, which was to get like a show, like an actual comedy show like Everybody Loves Raymond on NBC, or get a funny cartoon on Adult Swim or Netflix, or get a show on Comedy Central. Now their big end game is to actually just gain online popularity. That's just part of the shifting change in technology as well.
Yeah, I can see where they'd have to rack it up.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan gets more people downloading his podcast than he does get people watching his Netflix specials.
Yeah, well,
but he enjoys doing stand-up. He's not going to give that all up just to stay on the internet. But that man's podcast gets downloaded like 12 million times a month, like on iTunes. Like, you go to the YouTube versions of his podcast where it actually has the video along with it. It's not just audio. And yeah, that'll get 2-3 million views, sometimes less, depends on the guest he has. But man, that fucking guy, he's rolling in it just from online media, And of course, he's also kind of the top dog of that genre. Most comedians probably would love to have the numbers Joe pulls in. He's kind of the PewDiePie of online comedians.
Well, think about when Mark Maron was doing WTF. I mean, he was the shit. He was the most downloaded podcast. And,
yeah, of course.
And once he interviewed the president, he just completely lost his shit.
Yeah. And a lot of people were trying that a little too early. Like, I remember when Jeff Galifianakis came out with Between Two Ferns, which was like this little...
Oh, YouTube no. I watched them all. Zach was fucking hilarious in that.
And he came out with those, but unfortunately he came out with those, but instead of doing it like a YouTube channel and building the brand himself, he started off by using what fame he had garnished from doing comedy movies to basically sign up with a production an online production company. I think it was College Humor, actually.
Yeah, it was either College Humor or Funny or Die.
Funny or Die. That's actually what it was. It was Funny or Die. And that ended up killing him. He stopped doing it after a while. I mean, he got some big names on his show and really hammered them. He even had Obama on one time.
Oh, yeah. The one with Brad Pitt, though, is pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of them were great, but it just wasn't going to last because I think he went about it the wrong way. He should have built that up by himself. He shouldn't have, because this idea that online production companies were going to be the go-to thing, people are failing to recognize the shift and change, It's like you don't have to sign up with a network online like you would have to in the cable TV days. You can build it yourself. Because there are guys on the internet that just turn on their webcam and do stuff that get more views than fucking cable channels do.
Oh, yeah.
PewDiePie pulls in more views than probably most NPC shows,
Yeah, you combine any type of ratings that you'd get off ABC, NBC, or CBS, he still gets more people.
Yeah.
By the way, let me do real quick. Good morning, Wild Fox. Good morning, Jay the Magic Robot. And good morning, Malachite.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to the show. You know, I don't know, man. It's just I think there's going to be a shift in dynamic. It's like what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do it all on my own. A lot of people are like, man, you want to do a sitcom, you should try to pitch it to Netflix. I don't want to. I want to be one of these guys that can prove,
well,
if it ever happens, I can prove that you can do this kind of stuff on your own. You can build up an audience and have them fund the entirety of the projects and continue to grow and grow your brand on your own. And you can say fuck off to the corporate, production companies and Hollywood and stuff like that.
Well, I can say this. I had a friend who worked on a project for Netflix, and I think I can. I think I can talk a little bit about it. They were going to turn Tremors into a series on Netflix.
Didn't they already do that one time? They tried that.
They did like one pilot episode.
Yeah, it was like a Spike TV or something like that. It was like one of the off networks.
Oh no, this one was actually going to be on Netflix. They had to go ahead for 13 episodes.
No, I'm talking about before Netflix existed. I thought they tried to do Tremors as like a show back in like the fucking early 2000s or something.
No, I think you're right. But this was going to be the updated version where Netflix would allow them to have like the gore and the horror to it. And yeah, they tried it back in 2003.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Off of G4.
Yeah, G4, and it bombed. It bombed.
But
I like the idea of Netflix though, because they can put a no rating on it.
Yeah. And they got everything worked up. They even had the merchandising toy line ready to go. And then the production company started running into problems with Netflix.
Well, yeah.
Because they wanted more of this and less of that. They were tapping and fucking with the creator's vision. So the whole thing got shit canned. And
yep.
I mean, there was money to be made. I've seen some of the behind the scenes stuff that they shot, and some of the mechanics that they were working with, and the special effects. And damn, that shit looked good. Looked real good. But yeah, basically the people who don't know shit but have the money were once again sticking their noses in where it didn't belong, and that's why you guys won't see a Netflix version of Tremors.
Well, yeah, that's the main reason why I want to do this show on my own, and that's why I'm willing to build everything myself and get the right people who want to help make the project a reality together and working with me, because I don't want some corporate overlord coming down from Netflix after I've signed the contract and got to work, coming down from Netflix to tell me, yeah, read the script, love the daily so far, but can we get can we replace that joke there? That's a little too offensive for our network. Or can we have a gay character? Can you write that? Well, I'm not closed to doing that. I'm saying I don't want to be told to.
Well, the story that Kevin Smith tells frequently about his meeting with John Peters in the Superman movie. Where he kept saying
his whole speech on that. It was like a whole kind of a movie or documentary or something.
Well,
he talked about the fucking giant spider.
Well, yeah, and talking about
they wanted a giant spider,
and how he wanted Lex Luthor to have a gay robot sidekick.
Yeah,
I mean, just completely out their fucking minds. And essentially that's what shit canned that movie. Tim Burton still got paid for it. Nicolas Cage still got paid for it, but that's what shit canned that movie, because people just kept sticking their noses in. Oh, by the way, welcome to the stream, Mad Metal Man.
Good morning.
But that's also what happened. That's also I think, in my opinion, the biggest key difference between DC and Marvel. DC's got too many foxes or too many roosters in the henhouse. They got too many producers and too many people coming they need a singular guy who's in control of the whole vision.
Right. And fuck you, John Doe. Yes, I do enjoy B movies. I enjoy B movies that are so bad they're good.
Well, I did my video. My video today was a funny kind of. I don't want to call it a review. It was just a comedy video that basically the joke behind it was the porn parody of The Last Jedi was better than The Last Jedi.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that one.
And it was so funny because the whole setup was Magog was basically saying that The Last Jedi wasn't so bad. And then as it shows the footage, people are like, wait, this isn't The Last Jedi. This is some sort of fucking porn spoof. And that was the whole joke, but oftentimes B movies have that same kind of, minus the porn parts, has that same kind of like acting and filmography and stuff. It's very low budget, very kind of, bad light, terrible editing, but for some reason, there's a what's the right word for it? It's
a heart.
Yeah,
by the way, I have thrown in the link to today's Magog video. You guys bookmark it or open it up so you can go take a look at it. It's fun. I like it. I like to say that. And Gulf City Outlaw asked if we could say a good evening to Desmarie's mom. So here's mine. And a very good evening to you, Desmarie's mom. Hopefully she's behaving herself. And if not, you still have the right to punish her.
Yes, good evening, Desmarie's mom. But I guess what I was saying is, like, even with the bad acting and the bad filmography, some B movies and stuffs at least have some sort of heart behind them. They're not corporatized and budgeted out to make big bucks on toy lines and stuff. There's something at least fucking original there,
Yeah, you can tell when something is being made with passion, even if it's done incompetently, like The Room.
Right. Yeah.
You can tell there was passion in that. I mean, there were total fuck-ups, but still, I mean, the movie is enjoyable just because of the fact that they did figure out how to put in 110%, and it just still wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to start somewhere too. Like, I can't guarantee that when I finally do like the Magog sitcom and I have actors lined up and the village is built, I can't guarantee that it'll come out looking like a fucking $500 million Marvel movie. It'll probably kind of have this kind of Skinamax, B movie feel to it, But I also think that's kind of what's probably going to be charming about it,
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I've seen a shit ton of things that have been overproduced. And, essentially, well, shit, Glass, a good example. Half the actors look like they were walking through that movie. It's like, oh, I know there's a paycheck at the end of this, pretty much.
Yeah, that was pretty much all of Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah.
Just phone it in, improv the fuck out of it, don't follow the script, who cares? And it was just terrible. And it was overproduced, and the graphics were very cartoony. I swear to God, I feel like I'm the only one who's mentioned this, but when I saw the ghosts and stuff in Ghostbusters 2016, it reminded me of the live-action Scooby-Doo movies.
No, I said the same goddamn thing when I first saw it.
Like, seriously, did they get the same, like, CGI artist company or whatever to do the...
Fucking looks like it. I was expecting, like, them to pull off a mask and there to be an old man hiding under
it was like, it's so, like, because those movies are meant to be kind of children's comedies. So they're really oversaturated, really bright, like glowy and lots of color. And that's what those ghosts felt like too. Like the ghosts in 2016 Ghostbusters felt the same as the fucking ghosts in Scooby-Doo.
Okay, it felt like the Disney ride from that hotel thing or whatever, the mansion.
Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yeah. It pretty much felt like that. That's pretty much what it was.
Oh, by the way,
and Magog just
good
touched
morning.
on something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning, real quick, to Metaforest and to Geo. And please go ahead, Mad Middleman.
But I was going to say, Magog touched on something. Considering the lowest level of humor in the Ghostbusters 2016 movie, are we sure it wasn't being marketed directly to kids?
Oh, definitely. Well, it was being,
No.
It was being marketed. I don't think it was to kids. I think it was trying to be marketed to a general audience, because we did also have queef jokes and stuff like that, and that's not really for kids, you know.
But it is for like the 13, 14-year-old kids.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not like the Lego Movie. That's for a very specific childhood group, you know. Like, we're talking about, they really and they plastered the hell out of it with advertisements. I mean, the whole damn movie was a Papa John's and Coca-Cola commercial, which is to be expected from Sony. Sony does that all the time, but no, it really was Paul Feig doing Bridesmaids in science fiction.
Well, and here's one thing, a piece of insight that came from a place where I never thought I'd get insight from. Joel Schumacher, in the director's commentary for Batman and Robin, that was the fourth one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In his director's commentary, he said, "I knew our production was in trouble when they came to me, and the first thing they showed me was the toy line." And he kept using this one word that was created by the marketing people for Batman, that the movie had to be toy-centric.
Yep.
And
that basically means a lot of colors, a lot of lights, a lot of oversaturated colors and stuff like that.
Well, no, actually, he was referring to it as, okay, how many different types of Batman costumes can we have him wear so we can sell different toys marketed off that? And if you take a look, there was a huge push before the movie came out for Ghostbusters 2016. They had quite a few toys getting ready.
No, I mean,
loaded.
a lot of companies already feel like they have to prepare ahead of time with merchandise. Especially if it ends up being a bad movie, they try to recoup their money with toy lines and stuff. What I'm talking about being toy-centric is there's a certain type of psychology behind how to sell toys to kids, and that is what I'm talking about. Like, you look at the Batman and Robin movie, and it's like, why does the Batmobile have, like, glowing neon lights inside of it? And, you know, like...
a gay director.
You know, like, no, I mean, because Fast and the Furious has that. Who cares, right? Like, but it is very, very... We are talking about a different time, too, because those movies were made at a time when most executives in Hollywood felt that comic book movies were for kids. It hasn't been until recently, the past decade, since basically the huge popularity of Iron Man, that something clicked in executives' head in Hollywood that went, oh, shit, comic book movies can be for adults, too. You know?
Well, and honestly, the target kind of changed as well, because the people who were running out, Star Wars is even a better example of it. The people who were running out and buying all the toys definitively were not kids.
Yeah, I mean, it has changed a lot of toy manufacturers design their toys to not just be for kids, but in the hopes that they can become collector's items for adults, because they also started to realize kids grow up, and they are still very nostalgic about the things they liked when they were kids.
Oh, to hell with that, man. I will rip that fucking package open and play with that toy. Fuck that shit.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, but that's also why they oversaturate the market with them now. You know? It's like, oh, I can buy one of these toys to play with, but I'll also buy one for my son. He can tear it open, play with it, but I'll also buy one for myself, and maybe it'll become worth something someday because it's Star Wars. You know?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's not the truth. It's just not the truth anymore.
Well, Gio's saying FF was pretty gay too, but there's a difference with Fantastic Four, because the people that Fox pissed off were the people who were in charge of doing the superhero toy lines and the comic books, and they legitimately shut down every piece that could have ever been used as a promotional gimmick. They didn't put out any toys for the Fan Four Stick movie. They did not. They canceled the fucking Fantastic Four and removed them from the lineup until the Fantastic Four had completely fucking bombed. They gave them no support and no help whatsoever. So that's kind of the flip side.
I had a question in the chat. Eric Falm says, Magog, would you ever consider having an action figure of the character of Magog made? Yeah. That would be awesome. I'd love to have an action figure of myself. I just can't afford that shit. I can't mass producing action figures for a show that gets 6,000 views.
Well, Magog, when you get there, I know people, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but we'll see.
Well, but if nothing else, I don't know. It all depends on how they'll work it. You might end up with something cool in your stocking at the end of next year.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just like a one-off that somebody wants to 3D print up and send it to me, that'd be awesome. But I don't think I'm going to try to do a toy line at the moment. I do not have a successful show, and I still don't. Everything I'm trying is going to be successful. I mean, I've lost so many views, and a lot of my subscribers just don't watch me anymore. I have no idea if this is going to be my future or not. I'm doing my best.
Well, but if nothing else, I would love to see a Magog Beardy 2-pack. That would be awesome. Oh, by the way, good morning, Lysis.
I think it would be a fucking awesome honor if Todd McFarlane were to do a toy of me and Beardy. That's just throwing that out there.
Well, but that means you'd have to show up at his house naked so he could 3D scan you.
Yeah, whatever. That's what's so crazy, man. Like the only toys from my childhood that I regret opening and playing with were my McFarlane toys. Or the Spawn lineup.
I honestly can't say it because when I was a kid, it was Mego action figures.
Yeah, but you're 1,000 years old, so
yeah, they all the toys back then looked like shit anyway. So it's like, fuck it, why not play with them?
Some of the action figures that I still have, I have a huge bucket filled with my Spawn toys still because I never wanted to sell them, but I don't have the packages anymore. They're not worth as much out of the package. But man, some of them that I bought back in the day, if I had held on to them and kept them in package, they'd be worth, because McFarlane toys were really well designed. The details on that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And some of them were really rare. Like I even have a female Spawn. And she has real hair coming out of her fucking head, and she has fucking skulls on her boobies, and it's awesome. And I opened it and played with it. Come to find out, female Spawn, they made 2 runs of that and then quit because nobody was necessarily buying them. Little young boys who were buying Spawn toys were buying the monsters and the creatures. They weren't buying female Spawn, and so she's worth $5,000 in the box. They're fuck.
Well, they cite McFarlane Toys as one of the big reasons why Toy Biz, who was the largest manufacturer of toys, actually went out of business because they were still following that cheap ass model. Yeah, and they were. And here comes McFarlane doing toys with 64 points of articulation on them.
Yeah, McFarlane really did. I mean, a lot of people give him credit for what he did in the comic book industry. I think he did more for the toy industry, the action figure industry.
Yeah,
that man's action figures were fucking awesome. The detail on them, the realism. One of my first ones I ever bought was the Freak from Spawn. And he had a bag of weapons. He had a saw because he was a serial killer that killed with, tools. So he had screwdrivers and saw blades and things like that. And he had real hair. He had this big shit-eating grin on his face. Kind of looked like Trippy's fucking clown, fucking avatar. And it's holy fuck, I love that toy. And I opened it and I was like, man, he even has real hair coming off the top of his head. And now he's worth nothing because I opened it and played with it. Fuck me.
I have 5, action figures from McFarlane that I didn't open, that I hung on my wall, almost like in effigy. I have the Evil Ash version from Army of Darkness.
Yep.
I have Bad Ash. I have Kurt Russell's Escape from L.A. in his camo tech suit, which apparently was one of the chase. And then, my pride and joy, I have the three Hanson brothers from Slapshot.
I still have. I kept when McFarlane got away from doing just Spawn characters and started doing other things.
Yeah.
I collected some of them as well, and I still have my my McFarlane's Pinhead in a box.
Oh, his movie monster lineup was amazing.
Yeah, his movie monsters and movie maniacs. And I think I still have the Ghostface Killer from Scream in a box as well, somewhere in the fucking attic. But the biggest ones in my household, they're not mine, they're my mother's. She worked at Walmart in the toy department most of her life. Okay. And Todd McFarlane came out with a limited run of a toy line called Kiss Psycho Circus.
Oh, yeah.
The 4 Kiss characters.
Yep.
Well, the first batch of those were sent out and then recalled before they hit shelves because there was a mistake. My mom cracked open one of the boxes and bought all 4 characters before they were recalled. So she has 4 Kiss Psycho Circus recalls in her closet right now in her collectible boxes and stuff of collectibles that she loves to collect. And I'm like, Mom, those are, because they're the recalled ones that have the printed mistake on them, they're probably worth, and she kept them in the box. So like, they're probably worth a lot simply because people can't find them. They were all recalled and destroyed.
But I tell you what, though, they were gay just because the hair was just fucking all over the place. It was horrific.
No, it was that goddamn plastic Barbie hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that stuff that can't be, that can't easily be, fucking dirtied and stuff. It's like that. I swear to God, it's made out of the same material as like the carpet on boats. It's like waterproof. It's like, it's like
fucking shag shit from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here, if you guys have not seen any of this, then let me go ahead and give you a kind of a quick education in the no context tweets of the Movie Maniacs and Kiss Psycho Circus.
Yeah. We had a question in the chat, and I'd like to answer that. This is something interesting. Eric asked, did McFarlane make any Nightbreed action figures? No, but there are action figures of Nightbreed. I remember them. They were made by a completely different toy company, and they're pretty rare. I think they were made by Electric Fang or something like that. They were one of those toy companies that you can only find their action figures in like Spencer's or like Hastings, like, specialty stores that sold, weird little gimmicky things.
They were made by a company called Nightmare Toys.
Nightmare Toys, okay, yeah.
And I have pals that do model mock-ups for these gentlemen.
Yeah, they weren't the greatest of action figures, to be honest with you. They were, if I remember right, they were pretty standard.
Oh,
yeah, standard little sucky toys. But that I wish McFarlane had done Nightbreed. Nightbreed's one of my favorite, Clive Barker films.
I wish he would have come out with a Puppet Master series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Eric. They did Pumpkinhead.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say the Puppet Master series, if McFarlane had done it, would have been better than what Charles Band wound up putting out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you guys have seen the one that Clive Barker sponsored through McFarlane, the Tortured Souls.
Oh fuck yes! I actually
holy shit!
Yeah, those are cool toys.
Yeah, I'll no context those because some of those are fucking nightmare inspiring.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people nowadays are just completely and totally discouraged from actually, buying toys because they'll get paranoid that, oh, this may have some value down the road. Fuck that. Let the kids play with them.
Shit, I have no kids. I'll play with them.
Yeah. I mean, I still do to this day. I mean, like, I think the last one I got in, was a, one of those, it wasn't a Funko Pop, but it was a vinyl. And it was of Galactus. And I'm like, fuck this. I opened it up and put it on my shelf.
Nice.
I did play with it. I did imagine that he was getting ready to destroy the world. But, I had the ultimate nullifier, which in this case is just, a Zippo with lighter fluid in it. So I was able to back down Galactus with my ultimate nullifier.
I think that the last two that I picked up was the... I think it's the Marvel Legends, the big, really nice, articulate ones. But it was the one of Anti-Venom, and I picked up a Venom from 1993. I believe it was actually Toy Biz that made it.
Yeah, Toy Biz kind of tanked out in the end of the 2000s, like 2008 or so. But I did pick up when Marvel Legends did the crossovers with other comic book companies, and they brought in like Judge Dredd and Judge Death, and you could bet I bought two of them at that point because I was still kind of anal retentive collector. So I put two away, and then I pulled the other two out, and I played with them, and they fought, and Judge Dredd won, by the way.
Who is Austin Jones?
What now?
Who is Austin Jones?
Austin Jones.
Yeah, I just read an article on Twitter saying YouTube star Austin Jones pleads guilty to coercing underage girls to send him sexually explicit videos.
Was that the dude
God, this was a while back.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't that the guy that had like girls twerking for him? And
yeah, I mean the image on the article is from 2017, but I guess he finally got his day in court, and he's been in the correctional center in Chicago since 2017.
Well,
so it's obviously an old story, but he's just, it's an update. He's pleaded guilty.
Well, I think it'd be okay if they transferred him to a federal ass-pounding prison. That'd be all right.
I just thought that was interesting. I mean, come on, like we like to think of ourselves here on YouTube as independent creators and artists that are trying to entertain people and change kind of how the world views, old school media compared to the new digital media. So I am happy that these kind of scumbags that are using the platform to do that kind of shit are getting taken care of early, unlike the early Hollywood days where they just got fucking away with it, like they just did. It was Hollywood, such a small insulary bubble of people doing real shady casting couch shit,
Well, they were even trying to pimp out as far back. The oldest story that I heard was Shirley Temple talking about the she said it in a nice way. I think it was the impropriety of Hollywood.
Yeah, of course.
Which basically, I guess, means that they were just trying to pimp her out.
Pretty much. I mean, that's been going on a long time. I mean, it really has, and it does need to stop. Don't get me wrong. I always felt that the Me Too movement started off in a positive place, but it's also now just gone way too far to where you're just guilty if you're accused. And like, look at like a Aziz Ansari. Like, he basically just had a bad date. Like, he didn't, like, there's a difference between him and Cosby is all I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and now the charges have come back, and they're trying to figure out whether or not they can try Bryan Singer.
Yeah, Yeah, I saw that the other day.
And welcome to the chat, the Butter Baron, also known as Big Fat Brian.
I think, but I think that's good that we're somewhat policing our community online and trying to stop stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a downside to that as well. I mean, for every YouTube star that gets exposed for, you know, coercing young girls and things like that, and grooming young girls using Discord and stuff like that, there's hundreds of YouTubers that are taken down by, you know, drama streams and stuff like that that are just looking to take people down because it's funny to them or whatever have you. So I think we're going to have to deal with, as creators on these types of platforms, we're eventually going to have to deal with the scummiest of scumbags in our own media genre as well, eventually.
Yeah, but do you think that it's a case that you've already closed the barn door and the horses are out?
In some ways. I mean, we're definitely catching it because it's such a new media platform. We're catching it a lot earlier than Hollywood did. You know, like Hollywood's been doing this shit for decades, and now that, like, in 2018 there's a Me Too movement finally. Like, well, okay. Like, why did nobody believe Corey Feldman? Like, I don't understand.
So, are you saying that YouTube itself won't have the ability to be as complicitous as the Hollywood system was to the movie industry?
Probably not. Because just the way digital platforms work and how they were built, social media, especially YouTube, they were built to function that you are in charge of your channel and the content you put out. And if you get in trouble legally, as far as doing something illegal, not only will we terminate your channel, but you could also be prosecuted if it's bad enough. So if you put out pedophile videos or something like that, or ISIS beheading videos, you get flagged and taken down and in trouble. The downside with that compared to Hollywood is you're oftentimes not dealing with real people. You're dealing with bots, or you're dealing with an anonymous somebody or so-and-so that's halfway across the world. And so people can continually just open up new YouTube accounts and get away with the same crimes. And so there's difficulties in both. I'm not saying that we're better or worse at it. I just feel like when I do read a story of a YouTuber who has done some really bad illegal shit, I'm not talking about, oh, that YouTuber talked shit about that person, or I don't like him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this kind of shit, what I just read, you know, grooming young girls to send them, you know, nudie photos and stuff. That needs to be punished. You know?
I definitely don't disagree. Another nobody, welcome. He says, don't BS yourself. Everyone loves drama, Shakespeare, YouTube, world star hip hop, and the like. And yeah, that's true. There always will be a Jerry Springer segment of the audience that craves that stuff.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between drama and scummy, like, takedown pieces, hit pieces. Essentially, it's just get the internet to hate somebody because I don't like him. Let's get the rest of the internet to hate somebody so bad to go ahead and, like, dox them and dox their family and just chase them off the internet. That's not drama. I could totally, because your drama is just kind of an over-encompassing word. A lot of people like to use drama to describe, like, what Keemstar does and stuff like that, because he does actual drama between YouTubers and online personalities, and it's interesting and people like watching it. But there's also, like, manufactured drama. There's scripted drama, you know, like Magog could have his show one day and there's going to be scripted drama, but it's not real. But when it crosses the line into, let's take this person out, let's get his channel flagged down, let's get him or her terminated, let's dox their mother. When it gets to that level, it needs to be stopped.
I know eventually somebody will try to find my docs. Somebody will find it. It's really not that difficult. But
yeah, I to this day I don't feel like I really don't believe you're a real doctor. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh well, if
he's just a paleontologist.
Oh no, I've doctored many documents in my life.
Hey, I guess that counts.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, like I get why some people feel they need to flag a channel and have it terminated. And that's why it's so important that these platforms have clear and precise rules that are equally distributed across the board. And that's why everybody's so pissed off at YouTube and Twitter because and Patreon. It doesn't feel like they're applying their rules fairly. Like, I can completely understand wanting to try to terminate a channel that has, like, pedophilia on it, right? But to try to get a channel terminated because you don't agree with somebody's politics, or you don't like the content that they do, or you just straight up don't like the way they look or sound, is ridiculous and childish.
Well, and the funny thing about it, when the maps did their surge last year.
Are you talking about like off Tumblr and shit?
No,
Like
when they were, I mean, there was like 30 or 40 minor attractive person channels that were
to call them
that were, you know, espousing the virtues of it, that there was nothing wrong with it, that it was a natural thing. And
Yeah.
this dovetails back into what you were saying with the self-policing part. Everybody was like, "Whoa, this is wrong. This is completely wrong." And everybody just, I mean, flat out went after him with a 4chan autism of, let's find these guys.
Right.
No, I don't mind at all, Brian. I didn't know he was out there, but yeah, if he wants to drop by, sure. And thank you, John Doe, and fuck you as well, because no one wants to do my docs because no one can read hieroglyphics. Actually,
Yeah.
that was a pretty good joke.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. It's like, oh, I found I found Doc Griffin's docs. Can anyone here read Syrian Aramaic? Anybody here read the language of Bethlehem?
Come on, we've got to have somebody who can read Sanskrit up in this mug.
Damn, Doc, I didn't know you were born in Constantinople.
Well, yeah, it was Constantinople back then.
That must have been a dark time, because that's its ancient name. Now it's Istanbul. A lot of people forget that Constantinople still exists. It's just they changed the name. The archaic name is Constantinople. The new name is Istanbul.
And for me personally, I think they might be giants.
Yeah, Doc was around when it just wouldn't stop fucking raining for 40 days.
Hey, that's when I learned how to swim.
It
was great.
Doc's like, I know I'm old. I gave Moses them bricks.
Well, now, you know, the only strokes I can do are mini ones. Yeah.
It wouldn't be cool to have a time machine, though, just to, like you'd have to be invisible so you don't fuck up history. But it would be kind of cool to go back in time and see how it really was, you know?
Yeah, people keep pushing not only the Mandela effect nowadays, but the fact that, oh, there were time travelers. Are you sure? Are you really sure?
Yes, me and Big Fat Brian are both of the time travelers sent back from the future to
Yes,
correct your
I am
war.
from 1,000 years in the future. Do not touch this sock. It's a laser weapon.
Is if there's a such thing as time travelers, is there such thing as time wasters? Because I think I'm one of those.
One day, 10,000 years ago, when the Goblox turkeys took over the world, we were able to tell you that there was no such thing as a time waster.
If you continue to do this, I will have to find a hooker and kill her. And
I mean, I kind of want to watch. So
and I will name her Big Fat Brian as I do it.
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, Daddy.
Just
Tell
to
me more.
weeping the whole time.
Yeah, I will cry as I hammer a hooker to death and then plant the evidence somewhere in the vicinity of your real life.
I mean, as long as I can have sex with a dead body.
Okay, why wouldn't you? Okay, you just went too far, sir. You just went too far.
He's gonna kill a hooker, but I can't have sex with a useless body now.
That is just too much. That is just too much.
Just a carcass. God, what are you making such a big
Yeah,
deal
it's
about
just
it?
a carcass, man. Come on,
Shit,
fuck.
yeah.
You're just gonna let that go to waste?
Exactly. I was going to ask if you were going to eat it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's acceptable.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, who is
I'll allow
that?
that.
The baritone on that voice.
I am voice changer, Magoo.
Oh, you should hear his laughter. It's even better. It sounds
Yeah.
like a chainsaw butchering a woman or another man.
How about we don't?
Somebody's been watching Scarface.
Brum, 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 brum.
I kind of love people who actually have a voice for radio. I don't feel like I have one, but I stream with Undoomed all the time. Everybody loves his fucking voice.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
How is Undoomed doing?
Well, doing, working, same old shit. He has
Fair enough.
he has
Well,
he has a real job, so this YouTube thing's kind of just a side gig for him.
Yeah, it's, you
You
know
made
what?
a really
the-
cool documentary the other day about the Son of Sam killer. You should definitely. Go
Yeah, that
watch
was
it.
fun. Yeah, that was fun.
That was
I
really
enjoyed
cool.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say next to as far as YouTube people go, the hardest person to nail down so far has been Undoomed, because we had a couple dates set up, and he's like, oh, I got a gig. I'm like, well, I'm not going to take food off your table. We'll figure it out sometime.
Yeah, I just sometimes I talk to him and I'm like, dude, when are you not working? And he's like, when I'm sleeping. I'm like, but you never sleep.
Nice.
Yeah, this is about his time right now.
Well, it all depends.
By the way, John Doe is like 43, but he sounds like he's 12. So we can point and laugh at John Doe.
Yeah, well, you sound like Luis Guzman, so you shouldn't be judging anybody.
And people love Luis Guzman, so fuck you.
That is true. People love Luis Guzman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you could totally start a whole new channel called Gay Luis Guzman, and I'd fucking subscribe instantly just for that name. Just be like, you guys, I'm subscribed to Gay Luis Guzman.
Guys, I've
God
also
forbid
been
he was. God forbid you actually subscribe to my channel, you asshole.
Why the fuck would I subscribe to your channel? You
Oh,
don't.
fuck you then. Fuck you.
By
He
the
does
way,
wonderful things like fuck up Skyrim.
Fuck you too, asshole.
by the way, I have talked to Luis Guzman's talent agency.
Dude, if you actually get Luis Guzman on as an interview, you gotta bring gaming on.
Well, gaming's going to be the nurse for him.
You'll be like, is there an echo? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Don't give him any warning before you bring gaming in. Just be like, yeah, we've got somebody that's going to do the intro for us.
Well, yeah. Well, no, because there is the green room at the start, so he might have a little time to share and commune with where the person he was cloned from.
Who the fuck is Luis Guzman?
Luis Guzman? Do you
Yeah, who
not
the
see
fuck is
him rising over Magog's statue there in Rio?
No.
Oh.
He's one of those, hey, it's that guy actors. Like, you probably know his face.
Yeah, isn't he from Waiting?
Yeah, he was in Waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
the
that was
fucking
that
chef
Mexican-
that was trying to do
Mexican
the.
dude that kind of looks like Craig Robinson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's
Gooch Fraba.
He was
The one who does the goat see.
Yeah, he was the chef that was always trying to get like his girlfriend to give him a hand job.
Yes. Okay, now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
oh my
Luis
god, he does
Guzman.
sound like Luis Guzman.
Fuck you!
Please, dear God, somebody tell him your favorite movie is the parrot movie he did.
My favorite was Boogie Nights, where he was the guy who didn't want to have sex on screen. He just wanted to be part of a porno movie.
Right.
Because that's an ambition of mine.
I thought your ambition was to be the fluffer on a porno movie.
No, it doesn't pay enough.
No.
Or the gay guy.
Thank you.
I've been watching old shows that I haven't seen in years because I have nothing new to watch because nothing new interests me right now. And I went back, and because it's free on Amazon, if you're willing to watch like a couple ads, Amazon has this new thing called IMDb's, like, forgot what it's called, but it's through IMDb. But basically, you can watch all these old movies and shows as long as you watch the ads. And I was like, fine. Prevents me from downloading it or buying it because I just don't care. They only play like 2 ads every break, so it's not a big deal. Yeah.
It's the classic series, right? Where it's the same thing that they released on HBO.com as well. It was like all of the movies that HBO has done, and they've labeled it a classic series, and then they essentially allow you to watch them for free.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except this is called Free Dive, IMDb Free Dive.
Okay.
But anyway, I've gone back and just started watching Heroes again because I remember that show from way back in the day.
Did you
tweeted about it? I was like, how could a show have such a great first season and then just completely drop off?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you just watch the first season and pretend that there weren't any other seasons or a reboot.
The reboot was bad.
You would be thinking, wow, I wonder what they would have done. I bet you it would have been great. And they answered that question by, just shitting all over it.
Now, I'm not going to sit there and lie and say that the season 2 and 3 are terrible. Season 2 was like 12 episodes because they had like a writer's strike or something.
Yeah.
But I don't mind season 3 with the villains and all that stuff. It's not terrible, but it lost its mystique so quickly. And that's why I made that comment when I first turned on your stream. I was like, I want to do a superhero story because there was so much potential.
Yeah.
And then it just went way off. I really love this whole idea of like people coming into abilities and they're not necessarily like the caped superheroes. Like, I think people are kind of tired of like DC and Marvel and comic book movies because it's so grand and it's so big. I kind of like the story of Heroes because it's grounded in humanity. It's very dramatic, and it has like they're not getting in costumes and shit. You know what I'm saying? They're not, they're not wearing iron suits or, and stuff like that. There's something kind of
normal.
Yeah, there's it almost feels, even though it is impossible, it almost feels like it could happen, and this is how human beings would act if they suddenly got powers. Because that's one of the big mistakes that I think that comic books make in general, because they're so focused on creating a hero that everybody can aspire to, and then giving those heroes flaws. Don't get me wrong, there's still humanity to them.
Yeah.
But the reason I liked the comic book The Boys was because it took that, flipped it on its head, and was like, really, if you think about it, what would happen if real people suddenly got powers? They'd still be just as big a fucking flawed assholes as they were before, but now they have fucking superpowers. That world would be terrible to live in. like imagine if superhero, some guy who's like addicted to cocaine and kills hookers got superpowers all of a sudden. Well, that creates a lot of problems.
Well, but you're describing exactly why Heroes fucked up. Because of the fact that they didn't keep the power sets defined. And, what was his name? Sylar?
Yeah. Great character right off the bat.
And
dropped off dramatically in, like, season 2 and season 3.
Yeah, they flipped him around to suit their purposes. Where it was just like there was somebody new. There was a new writing team every fucking episode. And it's like, you guys have no consistency with these guys' power sets. And then when they started stripping powers off of people and giving them new powers, it's like, you're fucking up. You're
now some of it I understand. Like I really like Matt's storyline, the cop who can read minds. He slowly started evolving, and that's fine. Like he started off, he could read minds, but then he found out that the more he concentrated, he could actually put thoughts into people's heads and make them do things. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But the whole idea of like, here's Sylar. He's basically one of the best characters on the whole show. Everybody loves him, even though he's a bad guy, because people love to hate him. And he's so good. Let's flip him and make him a good guy this one time. And then we'll take a character everybody loves that's a good guy and flip him and make him a bad guy. And then we'll have a hero over here, hero fucking jumping around through time and shit. And it's like really fucking annoying. I get the whole time travel thing, but it seemed like every season they had to like go forward in time and find out that the future was shit. And then they had to stop it. That's like the premise of every season. We got to stop the future from happening.
Yeah. Well, you only save the cheerleader once before it starts to become boring.
And I get that. Sure. They could have taken it to a more humane level. They could have had these very human characters get over their flaws, get in control of their powers, and then come together to actually do good and actually form a team. But then on the opposite end, you have the villains forming a team as well. And they tried to do that with season 3 by bringing the Petrelli dad back to life and have him running like an evil corporation that wanted to give powers to a bunch of Marines and build a super people army. And it's like, no, that's boring. It should start like underground and get bigger and bigger and bigger. It shouldn't hop all over the fucking place.
Also, I think a big mistake was them having T-Bag from Prison Break in there. I mean, he's an okay actor, but the same era was going on. You know, Prison Break was still around when this show was going on, and so it's like, why?
But the only people who care about that are people who watch Prison Break. You know, like I don't care about that if actors do different things.
No, I get that. But he came in with the same attitude as the character he was playing in the.
No, that's show. True. I'll give you a little bit of that one, because like if you're a character on one show and then you get killed off or something, so now you're open to do another show, and you hop over to another show and you're that exact same fucking character because that's what people love from another show. Fuck the writers for doing
that. Exactly. That's
he should have been a complete opposite of what he was in Prison Break.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole thing with Sylar absorbing powers.
Well, he was the whole setup with that was that he was the complete and utter opposite of Peter Petrelli. Peter could absorb people's powers because he had empathy, and he could literally just all he had to do was be around them for long enough, and he would absorb their powers, but it wouldn't take it from them, and he wouldn't take their life. Sylar was his opposite. He had to physically fucking cut off their brain, cut off the top of their head and touch their brain and find the problem, but that was really cool until they started to do the whole flippity flop. Let's make Sylar good and Peter bad. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing had what we writers like to call a natural resolution. What should have happened. And I guess they were just trying to be smartasses about it and do the whole, well, let's flip the script kind of deal. It's like, no. This person has done so many bad things. It is time for this to pay off.
And I'm really tired of that trope in shows. Are you guys tired of that trope? Where somebody will be a steady bad guy who has murdered people and killed people, tormented people, and then all of a sudden he gets like a redemption arc and people just kind of are like forced to work with him even though they hate him, and then they come to like understand him a little bit more and have empathy for him, and then they like one of them will like save his life, and it's like that whole thing with Claire, like he terrorized that girl, the cheerleader, and he finally caught up to her in like season 3 and cut her fucking head off and tormented this poor girl. Then all of a sudden he's like working with her father and he's his partner and he's trying to be good. And when he talks to Claire, Claire's like, you're a monster. But then he saves Claire from being sucked into a black hole. And all of a sudden it's like, I don't understand. Am I supposed to like Sylar or hate him? And it's like, no, That bitch should have tried to kill him the moment she saw him. Like that, he has tortured her for the past 2 fucking years. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I can only put forth the theory that Robert Zemeckis gave out when he was doing the commentary for a movie probably none of you have seen called Used Cars. And he said, people love Darth Vader. Why do they love Darth Vader? Because he's fucking good at his job. And that's what will win the audience over. As long as you're good at your job, audiences will like you.
yeah, and that's somewhat true, but I feel like television does need a new show like Heroes, but more grounded, grittier, and well-rounded writing staff. You know, I'm really getting sick of this type of cable TV, network TV trope where it's like, we'll just write and write and write, and then we'll do again what worked the last time. But people want to see characters evolve. They want to see their favorite characters finally meet up and start working together. That's what's so attractive about the Marvel movies is you get their individual movies and you get to learn about them and go through their adventures, and then you get Avengers and they finally get together. And it's like, yes! Fuck yeah!
Did you
Thor and Tony Stark are in the same room together. That's awesome. You know, like, that's what people like to see. And this is what I hate about network television, the writing. I'll give you a perfect example. Maybe you guys remember this. There was a show called Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
It was garbage.
And it was like really kind of interesting. I liked the premise of it because it was kind of semi-comedy as well. So I didn't take it as seriously as like Burn Notice, right?
Burn Notice was garbage too.
But here's this character and you're hoping that they get together and all this and that, and you're like watching and watching and watching. They finally get together, they get married, and you're like, finally a resolution to this thing that has taken 3 years. And then what do? Because they run out of ideas, they have her get hit on the head and she has amnesia and doesn't know who he is. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're going right back to the beginning, and then they have to like work on their relationship and try to get her to remember, and it's like, fuck you, I'm done. I'm done with the show. I'm fucking done.
Sorry. How did you not expect that though? I mean, the show was garbage all the way through, from beginning to end.
That is
I like both of those shows.
That is I guess that's depending on the person. I didn't think it was necessarily garbage. I didn't think it was a great show. I only watched it out of boredom in Iraq. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I mean, I'm not sitting there, but I was using that as an example of a TV trope that they do all the time. When some new thing doesn't work, they try to revert back to the original. And they did it in Heroes. Once they made the decision to try to make Sylar redeem himself and become a good guy, people started bitching about it, right? Like they were watching, go, no, this doesn't fit Sylar. I don't like this. So what did they do midway through the season? He kills his girlfriend, turns bad again.
By the way, good morning, TM Ryder.
I was going to say, it kind of sounds very similar to pretty much every aspect of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh God! I started watching. I started watching Dragon Ball Z abridged.
Fantastic show.
And I still incredibly hate that show, but it's making abridged is making it more palatable.
Did you just say you hate Dragon Ball Z?
Oh fuck yes, I do.
You are speaking devil's tongue. Every show that you like is garbage, and you should never be allowed to criticize a show again. How dare you?
I wasted a very good bag of weed for a
Pox
whole week.
upon all
I
of your
watched
shorts.
Dragon Ball Z. And that fucking thing, the fight was still going on after the week. And I was like, God damn it. You people have no resolution, do you? Is it just you kept riding the fight? Because you didn't know how to end it?
1980s?
Huh?
You know, I've never seen
any other anime from the 1980s, like Yu Yu Hakusho or Inuyasha. That's how every single show is from the 90s or 80s.
Oh no, fuck, no! Just we're not doing this because I've never even seen a single episode, and I don't care to.
Well, you're okay then.
There we go. We can agree on something.
I don't fucking care about goddamn children's anime shows.
Although you should really watch One Punch Man.
children's anime shows.
I've watched some anime because it's interesting, but at some of it, I'm very choosy when it comes to anime.
Agreed.
Like I liked Attack on Titan, that was cool, but that's a show.
Barf.
I liked Evangelion, that was fun.
Oh, you want to talk about long ass battles? What? That's the longest show ever. It's like 87 seasons long.
Of course it is. I just like the premise of it, and it was fun. You know,
it's like Gundam. Gundam has never ended.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
But I'm also, when it comes to shows, I watch them once, and then I probably don't go back to them. The only anime I ever go back to watch more than once is the actual, like, movies. Because they do come to an end. They're complete fucking stories, and I like complete fucking stories. That's why I don't, even if it's like a good show that I've never seen before, if I find out that a show ran for 4 seasons and then just got axed with no resolution whatsoever, I won't watch it. I don't like it. I don't like the days when network TV would just axe a show and nobody would get, like, I do like that people, like, networks have caught on to that fact and they start giving warnings to the producers and writers so they can at least cap it off and make it like one really long movie. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole reason I never watched a single episode of Firefly until Serenity came out, the movie, which was supposed to complete it. And I was like, okay, now I'll give Firefly a chance. You know?
Here's my hot take. Both of those are garbage.
What the fuck is not garbage for you?
Both terrible. Awful show.
Yeah,
awful.
I didn't care for it.
Which
one?
Firefly?
I'm also inclined.
Both of them. Firefly and the movie.
Fuck You All Manimal was the best.
I don't really care.
The only good episode was the Town About Jake or whatever it was, where they're singing about Jake the entire time.
Oh yeah, the Legend of Jane. Yeah,
Jane. That's what it was. Yeah.
I hope T-Tech's watching. This is gonna be hilarious later.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, like a lot of the shows I'm just mentioning because I have given them a shot, but I don't invest that heavily in shows unless they really pique my interest, and there's very few of them. There are some shows that are just guilty pleasures. Everybody's got those, right? Guilty
Supernatural.
Yeah, Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Don't you call me gay.
I'm not gonna lie. I fell into Supernatural for a long time too, but they just kept repeating tropes. Like, oh great, I wonder what's gonna happen at the end of this season. One of them's gonna die, end up in hell, and the other one's gonna rescue him. How about that?
Yep,
let's do that over and over again.
We ran out of hell? Purgatory.
Yeah, Purgatory. How about that one? That's fun. Like, I got tired of it, but I do like the characters. I like Cass. I like Sam and Dean. Like, they're fun characters. They're just fun. It is a bit of a guilty pleasure. Another guilty pleasure of mine was a show called The Mentalist.
I remember that one.
That was a fun show. Like, I really loved it. I love the serial killer, Red John. You know, like, there was a mystique about him. You had to find out who Red John really was. Like, it's a guilty pleasure because at the end it kind of tapered off, and they ended it at least. You know, they at least had time to write an ending for it. You know.
Yeah, but the lead actor was such a douchebag.
Yeah, he's
from what was it? Land of the Dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We have to read a comment from chat real quick. Supernatural. Well, that confirms Magog is a gay goth. He wasn't even the one that said he liked it.
Yeah, I'm not
even the guy who likes
I'm not the biggest fan of Supernatural, but I can appreciate the I can appreciate the system. And I love that they have a character that is a bit of a misogynist and a bit of a road boy, and that he wears leather jackets and he drives a cool fucking car. I don't like these modern shows where, like, the guys are all constantly fucking Dawson's Creek taking off their shirts, Twilight characters. I like that. Drinks beer and fucking bangs chicks and calls people bitch. Like, I like that. I like that in a character, especially on a CW show. Now, the spinoff was a complete failure. They tried to do this Wayward Sisters, where they basically tried to take Supernatural formula and apply to like 4 female characters. It was a break off. It ran for 1 season, never got renewed. Gee, why?
Okay, here's one I liked. I don't think a lot of people did. Person of Interest.
Oh no, I like that.
It was okay.
Jim Caviezel was good. It tapered off for me, but the first season's really kind of addictive. You know, you're kind of like, wow,
Never heard of it.
interesting.
It's pretty easy to get into it because it's basically about technological paranoia.
Yeah, ultimately at the core of it, it's how much power can one computer AI have? Like over.
That's the isn't that the guy who played
Christ?
What the fuck's it?
Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, the little
Yeah,
rat-looking guy.
that was his attempt to move to television, and so that he could have a steadier schedule and stay home with his kids when they were growing up. But he's back to doing movies now. One of my favorite movies, it's a guilty pleasure movie with Jim Caviezel in it, even though it wasn't one of his big ones, was a movie called Outlander. I love that movie.
Oh, God.
That's a good movie.
I haven't
I
heard
love
that one in a while.
I
You know
love
what's a great movie? And it's a guilty pleasure? Postman.
Oh, yeah.
Postman's awesome. Go what a good show.
Wait, the Kevin Costner?
That's my guilty pleasure.
No, that's a guilty pleasure movie. I watch it like once a year, even though it bombed in theaters. People didn't get it. I fucking love that movie.
Wait a minute, that's the one with Kevin Costner and Tom Petty, right?
Yes, Kevin
Yeah,
Costner.
that's a great movie. What are you talking about? That's not a
Is
guilty
it?
pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, I only remember watching it on TNT with my grandma once, and I was like, wow, that's a great movie. I've never even heard of this fucking thing.
No, I fucking loved that movie the first time. The moment I fucking saw it, it was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. It is a good movie, and honestly, like probably one of the reasons I like it is because Will Patton is such a good bad guy in that movie. Will Patton, General Bethlehem, is such a good fucking bad. You want a war? I'll give you a war. He is fucking good in that. He's a psycho, man. He's sadistic.
That Scream, the television show. It's a MTV TV show. It is a very good show, and I like it. And you cannot tell me otherwise.
No,
I've not even heard of it.
It's good. It's got 2 seasons, and they're making the 3rd right now. It's very interesting. It's got like all the twists and turns in the season that you would expect from a Scream movie, but it's just in a longer formula.
Yeah, but I heard it was like vapid. Maybe I heard it from the wrong sources. I heard
it's got a lot of gay teenage drama in it because it's an MTV show. But I like it. I don't know.
And, at least and it's produced by Harvey Weinstein, so you know somebody's getting laid.
Yeah.
Speaking of really terrible shows, did you guys ever watch the attempt to make The Mist? The Stephen King's.
I heard that was good.
Oh yeah, I watched
the pilot episode and I almost put my head through the fucking wall.
No, Under the Dome was even worse.
Yeah, but Under the Dome was a bad.
No, it wasn't. Like Under the Dome was crap. But I dare you to try to watch The Mist.
Okay, actually, so I watched that whole series because I loved the movie, right? And I sat through it just to see maybe if it would get good at any point. It doesn't. And also, there's this huge plot point of the main character being a rapist and being falsely accused of being a rapist. And it's like, oh, good. Oh, good. We get to have this in the middle of this movie that's supposed to be about, like, fucking fog with monsters in it. Jesus Christ. What are you even doing?
Is he going to rape the monster, though?
Right?
I think the worst thing too is because I read ahead. I was like, I watched the pilot episode. I was like, maybe it gets good. Maybe all this weird shit that's happening in the pilot episode is just them trying to get off the ground, you know? But I read ahead and I found out basically the twist ending was nothing like the book or the movie. Like in the book of the movie, it was like a science experiment at the army base went wrong to open up a gateway to another dimension. And the fog came through and all the monsters. At the end of this, it's revealed it's just nature is pissed off.
Yes.
Like nature is angry. Nature is angry at us for polluting her.
They should have called it The Happening. Yeah.
The Happening.
Well, and so I'm going to give you a little bit of lore on Stephen King here. You know that the scientist that opened the door in the movie, right, and the book, obviously, that's actually another dimension that they go into that has the Dark Tower in it.
Yep.
We don't care about the Dark Tower.
He likes to link things together. And
You know what's awesome too? The It creature is apparently a monster that's in that same dimension.
We don't like the Dark Tower.
Why don't you like the Dark Tower? It's a great book.
Because it sucks. As a
That is
writer,
a terrific book.
As a writer, you can tell that he had moments of inspiration, but when you get to the end of it, just like The Mist as a novella, he fucking petered out on it and didn't have a decent ending. So
wait,
it's a fucking time loop? Kiss my ass.
So
no, that ending was beautiful. What are you talking about?
It was shit.
So he was.
No, it was shoehorned.
That's what you're saying. Is he was Stephen King?
And he.
I have never been able to really read King. Every time I try to read King, I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
You know what? Fun fact. Did you know that Stephen King's dad is actually Frankenstein? Yeah, because he looks like him. Look at that motherfucker. He's such a weird looking guy. Good God.
Okay,
Oh, he's
well,
gross.
you guys know what Stephen King's first movie appearance was, right?
Cujo.
Creepshow?
A little flick called Night Riders.
Oh.
It was a George Romero film about guys who went from town to town jousting with motorcycles while wearing armor.
Okay. Yeah, I've had enough of you talking. I don't want to hear about this garbage.
Oh, no.
George Romero is the greatest.
You know, everybody's like, oh, George Romero was a visionary. No, most of the movies he made sucked.
You watch your communist mouth, Doc Griffin.
What was the vampire movie?
You watch out, buddy. Don't you
Martin?
speak ill of the dead.
Martin. Oh, I've seen every one of them. Like the adaptation he tried to make of Kafka, Metamorphosis.
Oh yeah.
That one was fucking horrible.
What about Bruiser?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Where his body is slowly changing. And and he loosely based that on Kafka's Metamorphosis and just completely missed the point. I like shit like Crazy, the Crazies. It was a popcorn movie, but
The Crazies was a great movie.
Yeah,
that
The Crazies was fun.
Terribly rated for no reason at all.
Well, but it was better done in the remake, I think.
It was, because the original one was such a stupid, dumb, just out of the blue, cringy 60s horror movie.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And his remake was I thought it was a really good horror movie. I watched it whenever I was in high school.
I enjoyed it. I don't think Romero does awful films all the time, but some of them.
All of his Dead movies are usually really good.
Well, 3 of them anyway.
For what they are.
Monkey Shines is good.
I really am sick of zombies. They need to go away for about 10 years.
Hey, let's tie Stephen King and George Romero together.
So we're gonna tie a corpse and a soon-to-be corpse together.
Well, Dark Half. Did you guys ever see Dark Half?
Dark Half was pretty good.
Huh?
Dark Half was pretty good, but I hated the book.
Well, they ran out of money because the studio was fucking failing. So that's why the end was so weird and abrupt. Because they didn't have the money to shoot it, and that's one of the reasons why George said, "I don't want to do studio pictures anymore because I won't have any control." There's a ton of pictures he was supposed to direct and for studios and dropped out. He was one of the initial ones for the Fly.
That's right, he was.
Yeah. But the only reason I brought up Heroes and talking about doing a hero story was because I've been watching Heroes, the old show, and I tweeted out today, and I have a really good premise for a show, or a story for superheroes and stuff, but I tweeted out today, and I want to know what you guys think about this because you might not have seen the tweet. I tweeted out, let's say someone really creative has come up with a really cool idea for a superhero story. Downside to that is, good luck coming up with original superhero names that haven't been taken or already belong to Marvel and DC. Seriously, try coming up with a superhero name and then Google that fucking superhero name. You will find it in DC or Marvel's register.
Nope. I got good ones.
Are they actually good?
Yeah. But here, I have to read this. This just in. It's a note that I just received that says, I was hoping for a short stream and some end of vacation sex. Love, Nurse Wicked. So guess what, guys? It's Schiller time. I got to go fuck my wife.
Thanks.
Thanks for announcing that.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the best icebreaker. People are like, why is he leaving? Because I'm going to go get some booty. So there you go.
There you go.
So we started, we started right to left last night. So we'll go left to right tonight. Let us start with gaming and yelling. Gaming. Unmute yourself. Good God.
He's pooping.
Wake the fuck up, man.
All right. Well, then we're going to go to Mad Metal Man.
I'm the Mad Metal Man. I'm Shadow Band on Twitter. Good luck finding me.
Well, but you do have content.
I do. I host the Toxic Streams on occasion when I feel like it. I'm probably going to do another one next week sometime, but I have no idea when.
And please feel free to drop a link in the chat, or even if you just say hi in the chat, we can bounce over.
I will actually drop a link because I think I have it somewhere around here.
There we go. And next up, since Luis Guzman is not back yet, let's go to Magog.
What?
Shill, goddammit.
I'm Magog.
Excellent.
Yep. Come on.
He does
what
stuff.
What do you want from me? I do stuff.
He does stuff on the YouTubes.
Pretty much. You've already posted my link to my newest video too, so whatever. You guys check out my stuff if you want, but most of you probably still watching at this time of the morning probably already know who I am because I've been on Doc streams like 100 times. So, in fact, I'm kind of getting tired of Schiller time and would much rather have Miller time.
Oh, I even have a graphic for Schiller time. It's the old Miller logo, but it says Schiller instead.
That's clever, Doc. I'm leaving.
Well, I'm old. Good God, man.
Move on.
You know, my favorite video game as a child was Hoop and Stick.
You fucking
liar. Playing with dinosaurs.
No, the dinosaurs were already dead by the time that I was born. And, okay. So, now that you're back gaming, please show.
Doc was alive when all those goddamn ice caps were fucking everywhere.
I know, right? Well, like always, gaming and yelling. I stream Monday through Fridays, the weekends too, but usually at 7 p.m. So please catch me there, and you get free blowjobs for subscribing.
Oh God, I gotta unsubscribe. I subscribed to you tonight.
Fuck off! I didn't say it was specifically from me.
This is true. Gotta read the fine print.
Exactly.
So I guess read the fine print before you sub, I guess. And Brian?
What up, fam? You know my channel's the Butter Baron. And let me go ahead and get a link. Sorry, I'm trying to find the window. There we go. In the chat there. So you guys can watch my new Long Pig video.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm interested already.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That chicken marinara one kind of scared me there for just a little bit.
Good.
I swear to God, if one of these days you do not do cooking with cocaine, I'll kill you, Brian. I swear to God.
I've already done it, man. I've already done it.
God damn it. Now I'm
No, not cooking on cocaine. Cooking with cocaine.
No, with cocaine. Yeah. No, that's the meat glue episode.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a whole like cut scene and everything.
No, I meant cooking on cocaine. That'd be great if you just like snorted a few lines, be like, let's get these ravioli done.
Well, you can invite Satan and Satar for that. He'll definitely be good at that.
It's going to be the most exciting episode of watching water boil ever.
Nice.
No, that's cooking on weed.
And there's no
Dude,
problem
look at all
with
the bubbles.
And there's no problem with my nose running into the roux. That's quite all right. It adds more flavor.
Yay!
And of course, Politipod.
He's not here anymore.
Sam, did you leave?
Did he leave? Hold on.
I don't see him anymore.
Yep, he pooped out. He dipped.
Yeah, he dipped. He's like, fuck this.
He slipped, he dipped, he tripped. Well then, that just leaves me to go ahead and get this show closed out so I can tap that booty I married 10 years ago. Of course, our magnificent, malevolent co-host took a nap and has not yet awakened. So you can catch Kadant on her Twitter or her YouTube. Those are listed down in the descriptor. Also, if you have any ideas for the big show, which if you haven't watched Doctor On Call, we are starting up season 2, and it's coming up this Tuesday. We'll be interviewing Stalvin's Forge and talking about knives.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We might even get some Forge examples. So, yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting stream. Maybe a little metallurgy mixed in with that. But that's just part of what's coming up in February. I'm also going to be talking to radio voice personality Steve Taylor, one of the authors of The Haunting of Hill House, C.K. Walker, and we'll round out the month with Optic Decay, and somewhere in the next month we'll be sitting down with Tara LaRosa. But
oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it'll be a fun time had by all. And of course, the Twitter's there not only to catch my no context tweets if you're here watching during the IRS, but also if you have a suggestion for somebody that you would like me to interview, I am more than happy to take suggestions. And we have ended up with some very good interviews out of them previously. My DMs are open. Feel free to drop by. And, of course, I do have a Streamlabs. There's also a Patreon. And, of course, wow, I have to get the voice ready for this. If you're looking for the best in bootleg Mr. Medicare merchandise, look no further than Doc Griffin's TeePublic Store. That's right, Doc Griffin's TeePublic Store. Stop by and buy something, damn it. And with that, I would like to thank everybody who came out tonight. Not only those who were on the stream, but in the chat. And for our streamers, thank you very much, Gaming and Yelling, Lord Byron Bolas, Magog of Morscar, Ichabod Orange, Mad Metal Man, The Butter Baron, and Politipod. And of course, thanks to everybody who decided to sit through this. We have a lot of fun, and it's not as cool as when you're not here. So please, stop by and keep the chat lively for us. For myself, Doc Griffin, and of course, our Nappy Land, magical, malevolent, mystical co-host, Kadant. We'd like to thank everybody for coming out this morning. And please, if you'll do us just one favor, leave the money on the dresser. Bye.